All right, welcome back, everybody. Another VonSolo episode. Did one last Sunday. Not last Sunday. Last Sunday would be this Sunday. Last Sunday. I don't know. Anyways, I did one, and it was at an interesting time. I wasn't super proud of it. I felt like I just needed to get something out, and I was pressured, and I kind of recorded it, and it was vulnerable, and a lot of people gave me props for that. And that is my plan of what I went into this with, was to be vulnerable and to talk about certain things. But what just got me was I just feel like I didn't explain myself well enough. And I feel like so many of those topics were big and meaty, and my brain wasn't firing well enough to really speak to the depth of what they deserved. And I was a little bit bummed about that, but you know what? That's a good learning lesson. And I was excited today to record another. And since that Sunday, it's been a roller coaster of a week, or a week and a bit, whatever it was, week and a day. And I'm probably just going to take you guys through it kind of from Sunday of what I went through. And I just want to kind of start it off. Maybe before I get into anything, is just saying, thank you to all of you guys that listen and support and all the messages. That's very important to me. That's what keeps me going. And the people that share the posts and tell their friends about this podcast, that's really what helps it. And I just want to get that out of the way nice and early, because I think this one's, if you thought the last one was going to be intimate, I think this one is probably going to take the cake. If I had to guess, I'm probably going to have to hold back some emotion. I think you might see me cry again on this. I'm sure I've cried on the podcast before. I'm sure at times that, I'm pretty open about that. I'm a guy, but I cry. It's not a big deal. Just kind of want to give you guys just a little preface, just so it wasn't kicking you right in the nutsack if you're coming in trying to hear an upbeat, and there's lots of upbeat. There's tons. Like I said, it was a roller coaster of a week. Some really fun stuff, some really great stuff, and some really tough times. And that's what life is. And you guys are going to hear the full gamut of it. So I recorded that last solo episode. I don't know if it was last Sunday, or because last Sunday would have been 2 days ago Sunday. The Sunday before last. That's the word. That's the one. Bingo bango. We got there. That's when I recorded this, and I talked a lot about the breakup that I had with my ex, and just kind of where I was thinking with that, and how it was over that trip of her kind of putting her foot down and just saying, hey, I can't be this half in, half out stuff of kind of where we had broken up, but we still were very much there for each other and talking and all that stuff, and kind of wanted to cut it all together, and that I wasn't doing all that great with it. And I was trying to be open about that, but so that was Sunday, and then Monday, I can't remember even what I did. Monday's a blur. Lots of packing and getting all the stuff from Grande Prairie ready to go, and I can believe how much shit I have people like. I just thought I'm going to bring the basics of what, at least I'm going to fill my truck right to the roof, so I can't fit another thing in there, and just the basics, all my clothes, my computer, this desk, my podcasting equipment. What else did I bring? All my shoes, all my hats, all my electronics, that type of thing, and just try to get enough of it here that I wouldn't have to feel that feeling of feeling half at home in the city at my parents' place, which if you're watching this, if this ever makes it onto YouTube, you'll see a different background behind me than my usual office in Grande Prairie, and you probably won't see another episode from that office because I moved all the desk and everything out of there. That was, I didn't even say goodbye to it really, but I couldn't believe how much work it was and how much still there is to go. Like, I packed that truck full of all, the basics, but there is still a house to unpack, like all the kitchen stuff, all the furniture. So that's going to be coming up sometime this month. I'm going to have to go back and do the rest of that move. And then once I get that kind of off my plate, then it's starting to look for somewhere here, so I don't have to live with my parents, 28 years old, for too long. It's been really nice. I gotta say, I think living by myself, or not by myself, but half the time was by myself, because me and my ex were doing long distance a lot of the time. So it would be, seeing her once a month throughout the year, and then she'd move in with me for 4 months over the summers, and then she'd leave again on and off, which, again, looking back on it, was a very interesting way. And it's funny, as much pain as this process is going through, it is amazing. That's the other side of the coin. Oh man, I'm already getting emotional. Whew, this is going to be a long one. Buckle up. How much you learn about yourself in so many different ways, like, and as painful as a breakup is, and everything that comes with it, and just relationship issues, right? Because that's not restricted to a breakup. There's a lot of time of ups and downs, and what that teaches you if you can sit with it long enough to learn the lessons. And I think that's where I've been struggling of not sitting with it as much as I can. And in saying that, I'm being hard on myself because I have really sat with it a lot, and it's been hard not to. I haven't slept much. Most of the nights are up thinking about these types of things, whether I want to or not. But then the rest of the day, I'm trying to, distract myself and not think about it. And that's okay too. You got to give yourself breaks. Where was I even going with that? Yeah. But just, there is positives to it. But come Tuesday, I was really, from the texting that we had done and what we had talked about, me and Alyssa, just that this is what she needed, and that she, had to kind of, the growth and the things that she wanted to do, she figured that she couldn't do with me, and that it would kind of fall back into old patterns, which I really respect. And I think that's really smart and really admirable to be able to realize that. And I think there's a lot to be said about how easy it is to just slip back into what was comfortable. And, that's something that I have to fight in my head too. Is that what I'm doing? Is this something I really want? Or is this something that I just miss the comfortability of, right? Like, you have to ask yourself those really tough questions. And, in asking those questions, I think we had kind of come to different points of, like, where I was thinking, like, going through this process, this is really tough, and I don't want to give up on it, and I want to at least give it a really good try, because I just think we had something really special, and I think she's a special person and all of that stuff. But on the comeback of it, she had some really good points about not wanting, or just not. It's not about wanting. It's what they need, and being firm about what you need. And I thought that was amazing, and I respect the shit out of it. It doesn't make it any easier, but I respect it. And I think I talked about all this on that Sunday podcast, just in theory, but it didn't seem real yet. And on Tuesday, I just requested, I said, hey, can we chat? Can we talk? Because we hadn't really been talking, and we talked on the phone for over an hour, and it was, full of a lot of tears and a lot of tough conversations and a lot of important things that I think needed to be said, and some of them didn't feel good. And it was a tough one. That was a tough conversation, and a tough day afterwards. That was the Tuesday of this week, last Tuesday. I can say that I'm recording this on Tuesday, the 8th. So whatever Tuesday was before that, the 2nd or 1st, I don't know, whatever it was. It was a tough conversation, confirmed some things that, I was kind of hoping weren't true, and half confirmed in my mind some other things. And just like the pain of that was, something, I didn't expect, because we're, 5-6 months into this at this point, but it never felt real. And it was so much different of a pain, because before like I mentioned, you guys, and I've been open about on this podcast, I've never been through a breakup on the other side. I've never broken up with someone before, and it was such a different kind of pain, and so equally awful. Let's maybe not say equally. I'm going to say maybe a step back, just because what I'm going to get into, I think the other side of it is much, much worse. But I get lucky enough if I get both. I went through that and was on the other side of the breakup, and now that I want to try it again, and you get denied like that, you get to feel the other side, and it's just all those old feelings. And I've been broken up with plenty, and I've thought that I had really gotten over a lot of the prior things from prior breakups that I was kind of embarrassed about, of how I conducted myself. Once you get a couple of years outside on the other side of it, you can start to see the faults of your own, and the lies you're telling yourself to get through, and all that, and the blame, and, oh, this person wasn't all that, and look at this. And you just try and kind of, just because the pain is so much, you're looking for anything to massage it, to whatever, aloe vera you can put on that burn. And sometimes that prevents you from really learning the lessons. And I think that I have to give myself a little bit of credit. I think this breakup, compared to all the other ones, I am doing more of that, of trying to take more from it. But still, also the other side of it is shit I thought I had worked through, and that, oh, if I ever go through a breakup again, I won't be that person. No, it kind of pops back up. And at least now I kind of recognize it when I do, and be like, hey, you've done this in the past, and you've regretted it, and you haven't been proud. Let's shut that type of thinking down. Let's try. But it's really hard. It's really hard. And especially just going back to those feelings just of, I struggled so much, with self-worth all the time, throughout my life. And I think breakups have been a big part of that, just because, I love a lot. I'm a very loving person. I love my friends fiercely. I love, the people I'm with, and I think partnerships, that takes it to a whole nother level. And I think this last relationship was, it's almost funny to even call any relationship before that a relationship, because compared to this, it's nothing, right? Like those were little kiddie relationships. Like this was deep exchanging of who you are with somebody, and trusting them with all the deepest, darkest parts of you. And that was amazing. And I think that was the source of so much growth, to have that with somebody, allows you to, kind of figure yourself out in a way that is almost impossible. I mean, obviously a therapist can kind of function as the same thing, and this will come way around at the end of this conversation, I think, of where that fits in. But that's what it was. And then what's more painful on it is, I think always what's painful about a breakup is that you show so much of the best and the worst parts of you, and they get to see you warts and all. And then in a breakup, it's almost, I've shown you almost more than anybody else in the world, and you're saying that's not enough. And obviously that's not true, but that's how it feels, right? Like, and so much more of the time, it's timing, it's fit, it's just so many other things, and it has a lot less to do with who you are and worthiness than you'd think. But when you're in the moment, it's really hard not to see it that way. So and then you add on to this, like I said, where this is so much more in depth, and I had shared things so much further, and in our conversation, it was never, she was saying, it's not that you're not worth it, it's not all that stuff, it's not that it's, there's not a lot of feelings there and a lot of love. And I think I've talked about it on this pod, that, I think we both still deeply care about each other in a way, and just I want something different than what we both think we need doesn't match up, and that doesn't change those feelings. And that's where I completely believe that, and that's where I'm kind of embarrassed with how I can't seem to trust that, even though it makes all the sense in the world, and every part of my rational mind is telling me that is true, and that is exactly what this is about, and it's not anything over self-worth. But that other voice in your head that says, no, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, type of thing. It's hard to keep that at bay. And so having that conversation Tuesday was really tough, and it was a really tough day after that, and just to try and keep going on, because I talked about depression is something that I struggle with, and apologies, still struggle with to this day, and things like that can kind of knock you for a loop. And it was a tough day on Tuesday, and all I was thinking was I was so excited for jiu-jitsu that night. I know I had jiu-jitsu at 7, and was just that was kind of the thing I was just trying to concentrate on, of just keep going through the motions, pack, try not to think of it, just try not to be sad, try not to cry, kind of just getting through that day. And then I went to deep breaths, not going to cry this early, there's going to be tears, doesn't need to be now, let's go. Went to jiu-jitsu that night. Jesus is coming back. It was an emotional day for me, let's say. Just putting myself back there already is tough. And just had the greatest night. It was a great class. It was so nice to see people. Alex Martinez, who's probably the fighter from Grande Prairie that's fighting on the biggest stage right now. He's in the PFL, which is Professional Fighters League. It's probably top 3 organizations in the world, maybe top 4 with Rise. One championship. It's up there. It's a big deal, especially in North America. And he was there for the first time in a while, and got to see him. And he just had a kid, and it was just great energy, and taught us some really cool moves, and the warm-up was good, and it was so nice. And then we went to the rolling part, and I think I'd mentioned on that other solo podcast that coming back from my month-long hiatus in the US to jiu-jitsu was really hard, and it was tough. I got kind of flatlined and was really kind of down on myself about where I thought I was in this jiu-jitsu journey, where I just get rolled by everyone on that Friday. And then I kind of talked to you guys on the Sunday after I had that roll, the Sunday open rolls, and I was feeling a lot better about it. But I still had a little bit of doubt of kind of where I was at, just, a fluke on Sunday that I was rolling good, and just had an amazing rolls with everybody. Got to roll with Alex for the first time, who was, as far as MMA fighters go, like the cream of the crop that I've ever got to test myself against. I say test myself, but again, he's just playing with me. Jeez, I'm just coughing up a storm. Sorry. Because when you go with someone even a little bit better than you with jiu-jitsu, it's not like, are you going to get tapped? It's when are you going to get tapped? And like, how much effort are they willing to put in to tap you? Right. Like, and I tell that, and I know going into that that's what this was. And he was just, especially because we hadn't, rolled in a long time, or even if ever. I want to say that was the first time, but maybe we rolled sometime in the past when I first started. But it was a big deal to me, and I did really well, considering that he's just playing with, like, fully caveated with that of, I know if he wanted to, he could have completely smashed me into a paste on the floor if he so choose. But he's a very nice guy and knows where I am in skill level, and just was kind of testing my skills. And I feel like of what he gave me to test, I did really well. And he was very complimentary, and that meant the world to me to hear someone like him that I respect so much talk about, like, hey, really nice defense on that bow and arrow choke and stuff, and be like, oh shit, like, this is why I'm almost getting emotional about it right now, because it meant it meant a lot to me. Yeah, that stuff meant a lot to me, and all the other roles I had were all really good. I was doing really well, and I was really proud of myself. And then after each class, everybody lines up and they do kind of a bow out. Everyone, you shake hands with everybody. It's kind of like the handshake line at the end of a hockey game type of thing, but just at the end of a jiu-jitsu class. Ooh. And that is also where they give out promotions, either a belt promotion or a stripe promotion. And how it works, at least in this gym, everybody does their thing differently, but this is pretty standard. It goes white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt. But in between that, you have your white belt and you'll get one stripe. There's this bar on the end of the belt, and you just a little stripe of like hockey tape or something to signify that is, and there's 4 stripes, 3 stripes, 4 stripes. Maybe the 4th stripe is the belt. I don't know. They're stripes. And at the end of the class, they said, everyone take a knee, which is somebody's going to get it. And, I just had a feeling. I was like, oh man, I think it's going to be me. I think I'm going to get my first stripe, just whatever it was in the air. And sure enough, Randy, who, and his words mean a lot to me too. He's the guy that I started with. I started doing private lessons with him, and he's been on the podcast before. Go listen to that one. It's an awesome conversation. I really like talking to Randy. He's a really fun dude. And, for him to give my stripe and say a few nice words about me, it just meant everything, especially with the day that I just had. Like, it meant a ton. And can't believe I'm crying right now, because I think it gets worse. I think there were sadder days than Tuesday, unfortunately. And there's also going to be some really fun days in between it. So I won't be just me slobbering, crying, leaking out my nose this whole time. I promise you. But that was awesome. Like, just to get that little pick me up to cap that day off, that really was special. Fuck, why am I I'm such an emotional little guy. I feel a lot. Yeah. So that was Tuesday. Woke up Wednesday, a little bit reinvigorated by that. And it was the big move day. I was getting all my stuff together. So I went to maybe that was all Monday, and then this is Tuesday. Yeah. Okay. That all happened Monday. I lied to you guys. Yeah, because it was a night class. It was the Monday night class. It wasn't Tuesday. So I got up Tuesday morning. I go to jiu-jitsu, have another awesome class, right? I'm proud. I have my fucking cool ass stripe on my belt, which I know is probably very insignificant to 99% of the world, but it meant a lot to me. So I was excited. Another great class. Felt like I did really well. Again, caveat it with all the things I said of, you do well because people let you do well at times. And that's kind of how the jiu-jitsu game is played, as far as I can tell. I just started, so don't take my word for too much. It was awesome. So went home, packed up, got my truck just full to the lids with everything, disassembled this desk that I'm working at now, got my computer all loaded up into some Tupperware boxes and made sure it was safe. I did a fucking stupid move. I was like, what can I pack around this Tupperware with this big ass expensive computer in it not to wreck it? And I was thinking, I got so many books all over and I need to get all these books home. They're going to end up in something. So I made this like super heavy Tupperware, which may come into play because my shoulder was feeling a little bit sore Monday night, Tuesday, a little bit like it wasn't feeling great, but it wasn't enough. I still rolled. I didn't really feel it while in action. It was just a little tight, a little bit funny, kind of right on the front here. It just didn't feel great. So yeah, got everything loaded up in the truck, took the dog to the dog parks because I didn't want to throw her in the truck after not doing anything that day, and then hopped on the road, drove back to my parents' place here in Edmonton, and started unloading. The hockey game was on, so kind of threw the hockey game on the TVs and slowly unloaded during commercial breaks and got everything down, and built my desk, got my computer set up, and I've got to say, I have a really weird thing, and I think I've talked about it on podcasts, but I have a very weird anxiety thing about my home and leaving home and being away from my safe space, and it affects me when I travel and do things. I kind of like having all my stuff, and just the thought of something coming up, and I don't know what it is. I haven't even fully articulated to myself what it is, but when I'm away, I always have this pit in my heart of just, something's not right. Like I know I'm not going to go home to my bed tonight. And I'm, if like, and like my house, I can access anything. I know how to get anything. I can solve any problem here. I can, I'm trying in the moment to articulate something I fully don't understand myself. So I should probably just move on from it. Anyways, that's something that I think has been tough for my parents, because they have this amazing house here, and I come to visit, and then, and this is more so in the past, but then I'd be like, I want to get back to Grande Prairie, and part of that was always jiu-jitsu, because I love the jiu-jitsu gym, champion gym in Grande Prairie. Shout out to them. They're amazing. They do everything right. They have boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, kids classes, and the kids classes, let me tell you, I'm going on a big tangent here, but to watch how they deal with the kids and the things that they instill in them, and how disappointed I am in the school system for not instilling these really important values like respect and just like how to be a good person. I want to say, this is probably, people will get mad at this because it's not, how to be a man. And I think men and women, girls and boys need to learn how to be a man. I think it's and I think just as much there's in this same vein, there's a way to be a woman, and I feel like it's very important for boys to learn that too. This is all together. But if you're looking for something that's very important, if you have a boy or a girl, take them to champion gym in Grande Prairie, and you won't be disappointed. Let me tell you that right now. I can speak to that, and I think I should. Now, where was I going with all that? I don't remember, because I had to take that tangent just to give Champion a shout out, because I really love the people there and how they do business. Where was I? Moving into. So I would always, come for a few days. My parents would be, why do you want to get back? Like, there's nothing there for you, especially once I kind of stepped back from work, and I had to try and explain to them, like, it's this thing, like, I can come for a couple days here and it's fine, but I'm always itchy to get back. And once I moved, my desk, my computer, got my clothes here, my shoes, almost instantly, this felt like home. And I don't have that feeling. I don't feel like I need to get back to Grande Prairie. I don't, which is so funny, because I'm such an anti-possessions guy. I missed the whole point of this was, when I got back, or maybe I covered it on the last solo podcast, but just trying to go through my whole house with the garbage bag and throw out as much shit as I can to try and bring down the amount of crap I have. And to do that, and then to still see how much crap I have after I went through with that giant purge, it was amazing. But yeah, that was an awesome feeling. That was nice to see. But as I'm just building my desk and plugging in cables under this desk here, leaning on my shoulder, started to get really sore at jiu-jitsu, and just kind of a little bit worse over like a couple minutes. And then, oh man, it's really sore. Like, moving my arm is hard. And then, my arm is pretty much dead. I couldn't take a drink. I couldn't lift a cup with this arm. I was absolutely incapacitated with pain. And I run upstairs and, talk to Courtney, and she does a few tests on me because she's an amazing physiotherapist. Pushing on this arm, does it hurt when you do this? Does it hurt when you do this? Does it hurt when you do this? Right? And I was like, no, yes, yeah, okay, that one, right? Which is kind of cool how it all works. So they have all these different ranges of motion that they can put you through, really to narrow it down to which area, which muscles are hurt, which tendon, whatever. I don't know. Not my area of expertise, but, talked to her, and she just said, hey, well, maybe if I have a couple openings tomorrow, maybe you come in for some work at Optimize, which is where she works. They're an awesome organization in Edmonton. Probably should have clarified with her that I could say the name of that one, tell people where she works. Anyway, I can edit it out after. And that was nice, but then, came back down. I think she went to bed, and just, like over the night, like my freaking shoulder was hurting. So that was a bit tough. And again, like I said, the sleep wasn't too good because as soon as, you turn everything off and you lay down, you're thinking about, all the tough things that we just went over and we don't need to get back into, but it's just, it's hard not to, and you're kind of, just replaying things in your mind and thinking about it. It's tough. So yeah, that was, kind of a roller coaster day again of, a lot of ups. It was nice to feel that and to have this start to feel like home a little bit. And, that's a big step in so many of the other things that, I'm going to do. And that felt amazing. And then, to hurt my shoulder, because that was the thing I was so excited about. I just got my one stripe. I'm so excited to just go around. My plan last week was just, as soon as I get to Edmonton, I'm going to try at least 3, if not 4 to 5 different jiu-jitsu gyms and try and just get a feel for it. And, maybe even try and, pay for a subscription at one, and maybe try and do a deal with the podcast with another. So I have multiple, so I can, I had all these big plans, and then my shoulder's fucked up. So I was very bummed about that. That really affected me, more than I thought it would. Like that was I'm a weird dude. Certain things affect me. Certain things are goddamn water off a duck's back, and they just couldn't affect me. And then these little things, whatever. It's what's important to me, which is so much different than what is important to the average person, I find. But so it's kind of hard to explain to some people, like my dad or my parents, or even my best friends, like to Chase. He's like, "Why do you care about these things?" I'm like, "I don't know why either, but it affects me, right?" Which is funny because my sister's very much the same way, and there's a different point that I'll get to a couple days later when me and Courtney had a great conversation. It was just funny to see how similar we are in a lot of those ways. And it's funny with my sister of, I know that about her. So when she tells me something in a certain tone that to someone else, like, hey, like, she makes does meal prep on like certain things, and she likes these certain Tupperware containers. She just told me that tonight, like, hey, I really like these circle containers for this thing. Try not to use them if you're living here. Like, to me, if it was somebody else, or if it wasn't that tone, those are the type of things that just go over my head, and I wouldn't say, but because I know her and I know that that's important to her in that way, I will never use those bowls because I know that, right? And that's the type of thing that I expect out of people. And I have a lot of entitlement on those things because I feel like I try to be so polite and so unburdensome to everybody that I'll do whatever it is to not like, bug people. One example is this is like, if anyone's ever sleeping, I am a panther. I will not wake you up. Like I just can't imagine that. And I would want someone to give me that respect too. So it's very important to me when other people don't. Like my mom likes to stomp around like an elephant in the early morning. She used to, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but like it's certain things like that. And it would bug the shit out of me because I would never do that to somebody else. Right. And I think my sister's very much the same way. We try so hard not to be a burden on anyone that when we do vocalize like, hey, these little things, but like it's an entitlement, and it's something that is not very good. And I think through this breakup, it's really showing me a lot of these things that I have of, where I'm very entitled to what I think I deserve. And I have all this rationale in my head that backs it up, but other people don't know that. They don't know what, and then it just comes off as entitled, and you have to be careful of that. And I think that's one of those lessons that's really jumping out to me throughout this whole process. Yeah, again, tangent that just got me completely off track of where I was. Anyways, kind of been that important. So I wake up, what would that be then? So Monday was first stripe, Tuesday was the trial. So wake up Wednesday, shoulder is not much better. Still kind of can't really use this arm. I lots of times I drive with my left hand. I could not drive with it. I just kind of had to keep it pinned by my side. But still took the dog for a run. And I was able to do that. Just kind of didn't swing my arms as much. That was nice. Went for a nice 10K run with, my mother's calling. Should I answer my mom's phone call on the pod? Nah, let's not do that. Let's not put her through that. That would be funny though. And that was really nice too, of taking the dog for a nice 10K run off leash, because it's so beautiful where my parents live. There's nice trails I can take her and just keep her off leash. And she met some other dogs, had some fun times, and then got home, showered up, went over to, I'm not going to say it again, just in case it's not okay. I'm sure it is, but where my sister works and does physio, and that was so awesome to get to experience what they do there, and the really good people, and it seems like kind of top to bottom, and I wouldn't think Courtney would work anywhere that wasn't this way, but just they really care about people, and they it felt welcoming. It was awesome. But above that was, I experienced this already with my mom over the pandemic. Whereas I know that she's very talented and she's a super smart woman in what she does. She's amazing. I love my mom. But through the pandemic and everybody working from home, you get a little bit more of a taste of, everybody's on Zoom calls, everybody's, and that's tough. So you're trying not to listen because that stuff is, very sensitive and working with kids and families and all that. And our family's very good about not prying into that and, letting her have her professional courtesy on that stuff. But you hear a bit of it and you get to see, holy fuck, my mom is good at this. Like the how insightful she is and how much true care there is. And I think, that's what makes my mom amazing at that job is she's like me. She loves so hard. Like if she loves you, it is like a different kind of love. It is so, so strong and so powerful. Right. And that's, it comes through in her work, right? She cares about these kids. She cares so much. Right. And I think that's, a really important trait to that. Whereas, with work, with what I was doing for work, and we'll get into that before with Max before, I had that and I cared so much about our employees. I care so much about these things, and that doesn't really line up that good with that business world. And you kind of have to take that step back on that. And it was tough for me to do. But for something like what my mom does, you see where that just really shines. I thought that was so cool to, I always knew that she was good at what she did. And I was always proud of her at that, but to get to see it in motion, it was awesome to watch and just be like, wow, like you've done your 10,000 hours. You really know this shit and you really care. And to still care at that point and not to be suffering from this compassion fatigue that is so fraught throughout so many of those types of industries and healthcare and all that, to still be doing it after all this time and still be really caring for people, like that was awesome. A little bit of a tangent, but didn't lose where I was going. Let's go. Pat on the back. So I go into the physio office and I get to see the same thing with my sister and to know, and I get to see it at home a little bit too, because she's always, done work on me. Her and Liam, her husband, have always been very generous with, the family of giving us exercise and all that. But I didn't ever get to see Courtney in her element with her table and with all her tools and all that. And it was just so cool. And just the confidence that she had in that situation was so, oh man, I'm getting emotional just talking about this. Like, just very, this is silly to cry about. This is happy cry, which is, I happy cry 90%, sad cry 10%. And there's been a lot of sad crying, but usually this is me. I cry at happy shit. Which is so proud of her and so happy to see that she's doing really good. But that was really nice. Silly. But yeah, not to mention the amazing help I got. So she did some massage, she did cupping, she did, the compensating muscles that I was using up here and on the back of my shoulder blade to kind of protect itself from this injured one on the front, whatever, spinoodles, whatever it was called, that Courtney knew. And the massage she did on it and kind of loosening it up, and then put this kind of weird, all these electrodes on it and was stimulating it and it was vibrating, and then put heat on it and just, it was awesome. And I feel like I struggle a lot with certain things like that because I'm such a arrogant prick, I guess. But I don't really trust a lot of people. And I think that's tough for me with like healthcare workers and stuff. It's like, do you really know what you're talking about? But the confidence she had, I believed everything she was saying. I was listening, what I need to do, what exercises. I was just fully engrossed. And I think that is awesome for her, who's, I knew my mom would be like that, right? And I knew that about Courtney too. But, usually Courtney's only been doing it, 40 years? No, I don't know. No idea. Less than 10, we'll say. And I think 10 years is doing something where I mark my mark of like, oh, it doesn't matter what I think. If you've been doing it for 10 years and, you haven't been found out yet, you're probably pretty good at it. Shouldn't say that, because there was a lot of professors in university that were been there longer than 10 years and they were fucking bullshit. Anyways, general rule of thumb, obviously there's exceptions, but to see how good Courtney is already at what she does, and to see that same compassion and that same care that I see in myself and I see my mom, to see it in her and see how it's so well applied, really made me feel good. Not to mention getting some goddamn range of motion back in my arm. Like, look, I can put my arm above my head. It doesn't feel great, but I can do it. It was awesome. And she brought home, some tape to tape me up later because I was going to be going in the hot tub or something. I can't remember why we didn't do it there. But it was just awesome to see. I really enjoyed that part of it. So that was Wednesday, was it? Monday was the first stripe. Tuesday was the move. Wednesday, yeah, shoulder, get my shoulder back. I don't think my parents got back Wednesday night. Maybe they got back Thursday night. Anyways, don't know what else I did with my Wednesday. I can't remember at this time. Can't have been all that important. Maybe Chase came over and we had a hot tub or something. Yeah, something like that. And then Thursday, again, I think, and keep in mind, I'm kind of glazing over it because I don't want to cry again, but a lot of the down times were kind of spent doing that. And, I think I must have got a workout in, I'm sure, must have, done the basics, hung out with the dog. But then my parents got home back to Edmonton, I think Thursday night. I think we watched the hockey game. And this is where I was going, what I was kind of hinting at was, how nice it is to have family time. And I really enjoyed that, especially when you're down like this and I think this is probably the first time where I've been a bit more open, because usually stuff like this, when I'm sad, I don't want anybody to know it. I don't want to talk to anybody about it. And I think, for whatever reason, maybe it's maturity, maybe it's, just the depths of what I'm feeling, of realizing, they do need help, but it just, for whatever reason, I was a little bit more open with, my parents about, what I'm going through and that. And, that was nice. And to, get a little bit of coddling and, my parents are very loving people, but they also want you to do well, and they don't take no shit, right? They want you to do shit. And they probably, if I was being as lazy and sitting on my ass and being sad, if I hadn't told them, I think it would have been a little bit different. But because they knew, they've been very comforting, and that's very nice. Whew. Potatoes. All right. Oh, this is awesome. Like, just to talk about these things, it feels good. As much as my blubbering mess might say otherwise, this does feel really good. And I am happy to get this all out. It's just hard not to, it's hard to talk when you're crying. It's hard not to cry when you're feeling shit. Anywho. So I had a great night with them. That was awesome. And, I think that night, my buddy Travis, who's been on this podcast, Travis Malba's brother Curtis, has been on this podcast. Really great guys. Grew up with them, like some of my best friends in the world. Texted me and said, "Hey, we're going to a comedy show Saturday. A bunch of Slave Lake people are coming up. You should come out." And I'm like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" Like, I love comedy, and Kate Quigley's here. I wanted to go anyways. I was going to try and convince Chase to come with me Thursday or Friday, like that night, but my parents got back and were watching a hockey game, so we weren't going to do Thursday, so I was thinking Friday, because Saturday there was an Oilers game that Chase wanted me to come to with him, and UFC 272, let me just say that, 271 is the one we went to in Houston. This is 272, and where I got this beautiful hat, if this makes it on YouTube at some point, so I was super pumped about that, because I really love my Slave Lake people. Haven't seen them in a while. I was just super fired up about that. I was so excited to see them all, right? He rattled off a list of all these people. I won't, give them all a shout out on the podcast in case they don't want me to say their names or any of that stuff. But it was really great to hear. So he said, "Come to the comedy show." I said, there's UFC. That's my main thing. I don't want to miss that. I'm already going to miss most of the UFC card because I'm going to the hockey game with Chase. But I'll definitely come out for sure. So I'm really excited about that. Chase says yes to come to the comedy show Friday, so I'm excited about that. We put a plan together. So we're going to go to the hockey game. Chase is going to rent the fights on his laptop so that they're ready to go as soon as we get back from the game. We figured we'll probably miss the preliminary card, but we'll make the main card, and that'll be exciting, right? Like, I hate missing any part of any card. It absolutely kills my soul. If it was up to me, I probably would have skipped. My mom's calling again. If she calls one more time, I'll answer it on the pod. And then I can just cut it out after, I guess, if I don't want to. Any who's a woozle, where was it going? So we had this whole plan together for Friday, for Saturday. I was feeling pretty good, right? then you go to sleep and, it's tough and it's a tough night again, but it was nice to know that I'm going to have some distractions. So wake up, Friday, did my workout, did some other stuff. I don't remember what I did Friday. This is all such a blur. Think it was more of, just kind of sitting around being lazy. I know I got my workout in. However, I did, maybe I ran on I think it was super, super snowy and crazy. So I think I just ran on the treadmill inside that day. Ended up, once Chase got off work, rolled over to his place, had a few drinks, played some Crash Bandicoot Racing, which, didn't play growing up, but Chase loves it because he grew up playing it, and we always have a fun time. In the remake on this PS5 he just got, oh man, guys, it is hot damn good. Like, I haven't played a ton of video games in the last while, but man, that if I could get my hands on a PS5, like the graphics, it just looked amazing for this old game that was just a remake. It was incredible. Anyway, had a couple drinks, then roll over to the comedy show. We're going to the Late Show, and I'm so excited. I just love comedy. I love Kate Quigley. She's a great comic. I used to listen to her on Joey Diaz's podcast, Church of What's Happening Now, and just kind of following her story. And, she's a bit of a wild one, and, probably wouldn't be my cup of tea if I just heard her anywhere else, but hearing her on a podcast and get to hear from her perspective who she really is, and then get to see all the craziness on the other side of it, be like, oh no, this is like, this person's awesome. Like you'd follow them to the ends of the earth once you get to know someone's story like that. So I was really excited to see her. Didn't know who else, but honestly, at Rick Bronson's Comedy Club in West Edmonton Mall, right on Bourbon Street, they do it right. And I've never seen a real bad act there, whether it's a MC, whether it's a feature act, they do really well. So I didn't know who we were going to see other than Kate Quigley, but I was excited for it, right? Managing my expectations, I didn't want to put it too high. So we go there, we roll right in, buy tickets at the door, get sat at this real tight spot. So me and Chase, these giant freaking units just wedged in between these other people, but we didn't care. We were having a great time. The MC comes out. His name is Pete Sender. And he'll come back in the story. Don't you guys worry. He's a guy from the US. I think he was from Michigan, got drafted to the Edmonton Eskimos. I don't know if he played for a while, if he never ended up playing. I didn't really look into it all that much, but that's cool that he got fucking drafted. But now he's doing comedy. So like, to me, what I know about comedy and how hard it is for somebody to make that leap and to go through the heartache and the pain and the all the shit that comes with comedy. And there's amazing things too. But I just respect the hell out of that. So I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is going to be an interesting guy. And he was very funny. Really enjoyed him. Did a great job. I think he was, he had, a couple of jokes that really, like, me and Chase were quoting him the whole weekend, like just a couple real solid ones. And again, you never do a comedian bit because you never do it justice, but man, no, I won't even. I was tempting myself to break my own rule, but he was really good. And then he does his MC spot. Gets the crowd rolling. Talks it, figures out is there any events happening, and they're doing that job of the MC to really check out the room and make sure there's where's the crazy table of drunk chicks that are going to be yelling shit out, right? Kind of observe it. And this is a very, very important role for these other comedians. That's kind of what the headliner needs, is someone to really get them to understand what they're in for. And he did a really good job of that. I really enjoyed it. That's kind of the comedy nerd in me of watching more than just the jokes, but was enjoying that. And he, says, this next act is, local Edmonton guy, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember what else he said about him. And, Kyle Kniff, clap, not sure what we're in for. And this guy, and just for people listening, I'll try and put it in, but it's at Pete Sender, PETECENDER. That's the MC came on. And then this next guy, Kyle Kniff, who I'm about to fucking gush over, his Instagram, if you want to check him out. And I'll say it again after I talk about him, because you probably want to know it's at native_mustache on Instagram. Check him out. So he comes out and he blew my dick off, like right in the dick. That came out a little bit different than what I meant it, but I meant it positively. Like, he was so funny and so uniquely funny. Like, it was his own voice, and for someone that has only been doing it this long to be that much in touch with his voice, like he was not doing another version. Like he wasn't doing a D'Elia, he wasn't doing, a Joe Rogan, which is so hard to do. And probably 99.9% of comics for the first 5 to 10 years are just doing their version of their favorite comics, right? Just like I'm doing my version of Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman's podcast. Well, not the solo one. The solo one's maybe more of a Bill Burr or who else does nice solo cast? I have a bunch. Anyway, but he just absolutely slang with his type of jokes, and he had the crowd really good, and everyone was loving him. So he was taking risks on like even some of the tags that he finds really funny and are very specific jokes, and and probably not supposed to talk about this, but a lot of like native humor, and that's what I grew up with, right? Like that's my jam. Like like I've told you guys on this podcast before, like my bus was the reservation bus. We went through like all my buddies and so many people you play hockey with. So many of the funniest fucking guys I ever grew up with are all native, and it's a very different type of humor. And there was times where he would do a tag that made me laugh so fucking hard, and 90% of the audience didn't get it. And I'm the only guy in this comic club just fucking dying at it. But I think, he's feeding off that because, there's people laughing, even like all his main jokes that he knows everyone hit, they're crushing it. Everyone's getting it. But then even his tags, like there's a couple people in the crowd like me that get, he was awesome. And in my head the whole time, I'm thinking, holy fuck, I hope he's the feature tomorrow for all my Slave Lake friends, because they are going to love this dude, right? The same way I love him, they're going to love him too. This is like, I'm pumped. But he just does this absolutely murderous set, like kills. I was so impressed with him. Like, and from his age and kind of some of the stuff he was talking about on stage, he seemed very early into it. And that's what I was so impressed with. Like to be that funny with like, clearly he's only been doing it a short time. I was blown away. I was super impressed, really enjoy it. Like, and I'm just in a great mood. He, Pete Sender comes back on, keeps that crowd going, is really funny, brings some really good jokes, and then brings up Kate Quigley. She was awesome. I think, I enjoyed it a ton in a different way. Like this is going to, I don't mean this to sound mean. Like I probably laughed harder at Kyle, but I enjoyed it, like, because some of the jokes aren't for you, right? Like Kyle's jokes were so specifically weirdly for me in a way, like not for me specifically, but like my type of person. And I think so much of Kate's jokes where I still laughed at them, they're still funny, but like a lot of it, if I was a girl, oh my God, like I feel like I was almost laughing at like, holy shit, like this is the type of comedy for the, like if this is your type of comedy, this is really, it's done really well. And like because of that, I was laughing my dick. Like I'm not to say I didn't find it funny. I was dying. She was so funny. But like even funnier than that was like I could realize in my head of like, oh man, if this was like the way like Kyle was speaking to me, if Kate spoke to you, and you could tell from the that she really was on some of his jokes, it was some really high level stuff. Like I was talking with Chase after, and I think he was saying like, oh, I think I enjoyed, like Kyle better. And I was saying, of course, like that doesn't surprise me at all because of what I just laid out to you guys. Like that makes sense to me. But it was just an awesome show. I love that I can go to a comedy club and I don't need to go fucking feel like a scumbag, showing my negative test at the door and bullshit like that. Like that was just so yucky to me that it really turned me off from going. Even when I would see all these comedians, right? Like on the act that I want to see, I wouldn't go. And that was very nice. And then just to roll over to Hudson's after and have a drink and to see people out dancing and just, I swear this pandemic changed me. I used to not really like being around people. Now I am so much, I just want to sit there and watch people dance and people watch and just be in the energy of having people around you. I love it. So I'm just sitting there. Chase has to work in the morning. He's like, dude, can we go home? Like, no, he was having a good time, but like I could tell, but I just wanted to stay there all night. I'm just like, oh, I just want to listen to people. And we got to see, some drunk 18-year-old kids, clearly young kids, looked like, if I had to guess, they're from a small town up, staying at West Ed, getting drunk, fighting between their friends, seeing the dance floor. I didn't even know people dance at Hudson's, but apparently they do. And, Chase could see it in my eyes. I was just sitting there itching, my hands shaking. I just want to get on that dance floor. Every time I see a dance floor, that's my reaction, especially if I have a few drinks in me. Anyway, we have a great time at Hudson's. We roll back to his place, play some more, Crash Bandicoot racing. Ended up, drinking beers at his place till 2 a.m. at CTR, even though he's got to work in the morning. So go to bed. And this is the other part was, so we did this month-long road trip, me and Chase. me, Chase, and Remy, his dog, at the time he was less than 4 months, I think, when we left on the trip, and spent a month with this dog. So like, I miss this fucking dog. Like, you spend a month with a puppy and you fall in love with it, right? Like, and then just not to see him for a couple weeks. So it was so funny when I first rolled in, like before the comedy show, to see how lanky this bastard has gotten. He's so skinny, so lanky, and so much like, he was so puppy-like before, but now he's almost like teenager, and it's just such a funny little shift. And I was just loving seeing him again. And then that night, Chase is gonna hate this, but Remy just was being a goofball and wanted to stay with me, so I just had cuddles with Remy all night. Oh, it was awesome. I loved it. Chase was not happy. He called him a traitor. Fair enough. If Soka went and slept with Chase one night when he was staying over, I'd probably fucking call her a traitor too, little biatch. But no, it was awesome. Like, and I think the other part of it too is just like, maybe Remy sensed it. Who knows? Maybe he's like, fuck, this guy needs some fucking cuddles right now. But anyways, that was nice. Woke up in the morning, hung fucking over. I do not do good with alcohol. I really like it, and it's really fun at the night, but I just get so hungover. So I wake up in the morning, just rough shape early. I don't know what time Chase got up, like 7:38 to start getting ready for work. Chase had these breakfast burritos, made one, got it into, gave me a little bit of life, allowed me to drive home back to my parents' place in St. Albert here, and just kind of rolled in, grabbed Ahsoka, brought her down, got some more dog cuddles, and just cuddled till 11:30 noon. Just, got my energy back because I had another big night that night. We're going to the hockey game. We're going to, going out with my friends. Oh, Jesus, had a little bit of a brain fart there. Just kind of got my life back together, laying in that bed right there. Wake up, 11:30, 12, and go upstairs and start, bullshit with family. And again, just see my parents, and I think this is probably maybe them being very nice and soft on me. There's, let's go for food before the game. So we're all, having a great time. It was really, nice just to kind of kick it with my parents and have nothing on the books. Just, I was really enjoying my day. And then they picked this awesome restaurant, this Sicilian Kitchen downtown. Maybe, could be wrong on that. Something close. I'm sure if you type that in, it'll get you close enough to get you there. Oh boy, was it good. Chase was working still at this point, the poor guy, and he was going to try and run and meet us there, but just the time he had to go back and change, so he didn't. So it was just me and my parents had this awesome meal, great conversation, just another great day, I hadn't really been sad since, I don't know, probably early Friday, right? I was just kind of riding this in. And again, this is where the distraction comes in of not feeling those feelings, but I was having a great time, and it was so nice to have that, of just rolling one good time to the next and all that jazz. So we grab our leftovers from this Sicilian Kitchen, go to the game. My parents are going to the game too. They had their own seats. So I jumped out, meet up with Chase. We roll in, get a few drinks in us. We, watch a decidedly sloppy game of hockey. Wasn't all that great. The Oilers weren't playing all that good. Montreal's just a terrible team, so it was just not the best game of hockey. But again, just like Hudson's wasn't, the best dance bar in Edmonton, but I was just loving I was so happy just to be there. First game back at full capacity in Rogers. It felt great. People were buzzing, it was an awesome feeling. Just pure and simple. I was really, loving the vibes, even though the Oilers sucked a big one and took a bad L to a bad team. That was no fun. But the whole time I'm checking fights. Because I'm half losing my mind that I'm not watching the fights at this point. Missing the prelims, and I'm just seeing reactions and all that. Going because I forgot to tape them. I realized I probably could have taped the prelims and we were going to make it home for the main card, but I didn't. So whatever, they'll be on Fight Pass in a couple weeks. I still got to rewatch 271 that we saw in Houston on Fight Pass once it comes out. I'm looking forward to that. That'd be fun to do a watch party with you. I finally get my streaming up and running and watch 271 over again when I was at, and talk about all the shit we couldn't see and not having the commentary. That'd be kind of cool. Anyways, lock that one away. Yeah, so then as soon as the game ends, me and Chase boogie out, ham back to his place, throw the fights on, and I think we were just, I don't know what I could hear. He had the fights on in the basement. We were upstairs. I think we were maybe talking to his girlfriend or something, and I'm already antsy. I like wanted to run downstairs to see it, but I didn't want to, be rude. But I could hear the Greg Hardy fight start, and that was the first fight of the main card, maybe second. I don't know where they split it. Anyway, I think it was first fight of the main card, and I'm thinking just missed the first couple of minutes, and then I hear just a quick finish. So apparently Hardy just got ran through. Greg Hardy. I might have said Dan Hardy earlier. Different kind of Hardy. Greg Hardy just got kind of mollywopped a little bit, which is, makes a lot of people happy because of his history. If you know who Greg Hardy is, that probably brought a little twinkle to your eye. But we roll down, and these are the fights I'm really excited. Kevin Holland, Alex Oliveira, Bryce Mitchell, Edson Barbosa, Rafael Dos Anjos, Renato Moicano, who me and Chase just saw fight a couple weeks back in Houston. He steps in late notice. Spectacular. I'll get to it. And then Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. So we're down there. We watch the Kevin Holland fight. Kevin Holland's going down to 170. I was super excited for this. Cowboy Oliveira is a legend. You can't take anything away from him, and he did really good in the first round. His grappling was on point. You could tell Kevin Holland wasn't super happy with his performance in the first. Has a great corner. I love when the UFC really mics up a corner well and stays on in the right moments, and just to hear what they gave Kevin Holland to say. And back in the day, Kevin Holland in his corner would kind of, he'd be bullshitting, he'd be jabbing at people in the crowd, he'd be talking shit, and he wasn't really listening. You could see he was locked in. What do I need to do? That round didn't go well. What do I need? And you could see him nod and digest the amazing corner information they were giving him. And and you could hear him say, he's really hard to hit. And they said, well, move your feet, get in tight, footwork. That's what's going to get you in there. And you see him locking. Okay. Yeah. And what does he do? He comes out and absolutely drops him with think it was a right. Yeah. KO, TKO, right hook to ground strikes. Yeah, right hooks. So hits him with a right hook, draws him, and then just loads this crazy barrage of elbows on the ground, stops the fight. Great win for him. That is awesome. He's such a superstar. I think he's already on a rocket ship just with what he did throughout the pandemic, fighting 5 times in 2020, and the way he does and the way he talks shit and all that. He's a big star within the UFC, but I don't think he's crossed over to that kind of mainstream yet, but he's close. And that was a huge, huge win for him at 170. He's already shown that, at 185, he's in the mix. I think he was ranked 14th or something at 185 going into this, and now he's probably going to be ranked at 170, so he can fight it either. Which the only other guy doing that right now is Khamzat Chimaev, who I cannot wait for this next fight. His next fight is going to be just next level. And then it goes to my favorite fight on the card, Bryce Mitchell, Edson Barbosa. Bryce Mitchell is this kid from Arkansas who is supremely, supremely talented. He raps. He's got his farm. He's just a good soul, and does it right. And the way he speaks, I just can't get enough of this kid. I found him, kid. He's probably older than me. What am I talking? Kid. Easy, Nick. Easy. So he was on my favorite MMA show, the Ariel Helwani MMA Hour, a couple years back, because he was building something on his farm, was up on a ladder, takes his drill, puts his drill into his waistband of his pants, goes to lean over. The pressure of him leaning, pulls the trigger of the drill bit wraps around his nutsack and absolutely tears it to shit. So he comes on and tells a story years ago, and I'm like, who is this guy? Because he's got thick accent, but you could just tell him that he's talking about squirrel soup and stuff, like just my type of guy, down home, good guy. I fell in love with him right there and just really started following him. Every time he fought, I was a really big fan of him. And he's gone on to, and then he went on after that to just have amazing performance after amazing performance, but they weren't really giving him they gave him some tough guys. He had some tough fights, but no big names. And that's kind of what you need in fighting. You need a big name to kind of elevate you. So he was getting matched up when he got matched up with Edson Barboza, and he hadn't fought in a year and a half at this point. And he got Edson Barboza, who is a huge name, huge talent, crazy resume, just a legend in the sport. And everyone's thinking, ooh, that's a big step up for the type of guys he was fighting before. And frankly, running through, cooking him to the bone, as he likes to say, with just constant pressure, amazing wrestling, amazing grappling, good striking too. But I was so excited for this fight, and I, just believed in Mitchell, but I thought it'd be a lot tougher. He just looked amazing. His striking, he drops him in the first round. He just wrestle fucks him for all 3 rounds, just complete dominance, start to finish, hops on the mic and says, I'm making 45 and 45. So the poor guy's making 90 grand for this. I'm going to donate half of it to the Arkansas Children's whatever. I don't know even what it was, but it was amazing to see, and just the way he talked about helping people and talked about the Lord and all. Oh, I just was so happy, so elated just to watch him do it. And then his post-fight press conference was even better. If you want to go watch it, you just type in Bryce Mitchell post-fight press conference, and he was just on fire. The way he's talking, the way that guy's going to be a superstar too. Just you wait. He is awesome. If he's not already, I'm not the one who gets to decide these things, but that was awesome. I was really fired up about that. Then it's Rafael Dos Anjos versus Renato Moicano, who just fought a couple weeks ago at that Houston card. And RDA was supposed to fight Beneil Dariush. No, Dariush was supposed to fight Islam. RDA was supposed to fight Fiziev, my fucking favorite fighter. Oh, that was so heartbreaking. Yeah, so also Fiziev was supposed to be on this card, who has probably only 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, but I've seen every one, and I was really high on him coming in because of those shows like Luke Thomas, like Ariel Helwani, that had me really excited for this guy coming in. And he was the striking coach at Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. Like, was really excited to see what this guy had, and he's just has impressed at every level. And kind of in the same way for a Bryce Mitchell fighting RDA, this was his huge shot to shock the world, to show that he can beat a guy like RDA. It was going to be 5 rounds. I was really excited for it, and then he got COVID a couple days before, and there was some talks. There was a bunch of bullshit. Islam Makhachev, who just had to pull out. He said he was going to step in and fight him. His team pulled the chute on it. I don't think it was him. I don't think he's that type of guy. I think his team probably said, no, this is stupid. Ali Abdulaziz is like, there's no way you're fighting this. You have a title shot locked up. You're not fighting this guy. But they got the UFC all excited about it, so everyone thought we were getting RDA versus Islam. And then next morning they figured out it wouldn't work. So Renato Moicano fought, 2-3 weeks ago on that Houston card, steps up, doesn't even know it's 5 rounds until I think he's already flown halfway across the world back to Vegas to fight. Like, this guy's a warrior, and Renato Moicano is just unbelievable. And they proceed to go to war. And RDA is just beating the piss. Like, it should have been stopped. Should have been stopped after the third. The corner should have threw the towel in. I was saying this the whole time. Like, this is off. Like, they need to stop this. They go into the corner, doesn't stop it. They don't stop it. Goes into the 4th round, and he just gets battered. It's bad. Like, I'm thinking, like, this has got to be stopped. They brought the doctor in before the 3rd, and he let it continue because his eyes all swollen up. He said he can see. Technically, the doctor did a great job. He said, technically, he can see if he wants to fight. Like, I think the corner should stop it, but I can't tell him. And what was amazing with the UFC is they have this mic'd up so you can hear it between Mark Goddard, the ref, and the doctor and the corner. Anyways, probably should have been stopped at the 3rd round. It was complete domination, right? Kind of what we thought we'd saw, but Moicano stepped into this position. He's tough as nails, and he's never going to give up, right? He's not going to back out. It was this corner that should have stepped in. They should have thrown the towel in. We need to see it more in MMA. It happens in boxing all the time, but for some reason in MMA, there's this idea that all these fighters say, if ever my corner throws in the towel, I'll never work with them again. I'll go find a new team. And it's just awful. It's one of those, parts like the UFC. I can't remember who says this, Brendan Schaub or Ariel Helwani. One of them calls it, they're in the leather helmet days. Like, when you look at the NFL and you watch those old tape and they're in leather helmets and they're just figuring shit out. That's what the UFC is at this point. Like, there's huge multi-billion-dollar company, and it doesn't seem that way, but it's only been around in this modern era for couple decades of kind of how they've been rolling, and it's really, they're figuring this shit out. And I think eventually this will get sorted. It's just kind of a consequence of how early it is at this stage. But then he gets beat up for another round, goes into round 4, and now round 4. At the end of round 3, it was bad, right? Like, everyone's kind of, even the broadcast saying, okay, this should probably be stopped, right? Like, come on. And they go for the corner, and you can hear Mark Goddard and the doctor come in. He said, take a good look at it. Like, I don't like this. Mark Goddard actually pulled one of their corners and said, are you sure you want him to go on? The doctor says he can fight. This is kind of on you, right? Which was awesome. And I love that they mic'd it up. It was such theater. And it showed accountability for Mark Goddard, because I really, really respect the way he handled it, because there wasn't a real good opportunity for him to step in and stop it at any point. Like, it was a really bad beating, but Moicano's so tough. Like, he never had him on the ground, like ground and pounding, where he got an opportunity to step in. He was always controlling, and he's just so good. It's hard to dominate someone like Moicano in the way you need to stop the fight, which is where the corner comes in. They have to say, yeah, he's defending. He doesn't have zero chance, but like, it's minuscule, and he's already down 4 rounds. Like, this should be stopped. And then Yeah, so he talks to him, tries to get you can tell Mark Goddard wants a way to stop this, but it's not really his place to stop it unless, like I just described, something like that were to happen. So then he tells Hanato when he's coming out, you just need to show me something the first 30 seconds or I'm going to stop this fight. And RDA, you can tell, feels bad and knows this should be stopped. So he kind of takes his foot off the gas. And they had this crazy last round because RDA is, just trying not to hurt this guy. And Moicano knows, he just got told, if I don't show something in 30 seconds, he's going to stop this fight regardless. So it was just this weird little tantamount. And then Moicano just throws everything he has. It's just this war for round 5, which it sucks because it never should have happened. But Mark Goddard did everything in his power to try and get the corner to stop it, which is the rightful person that should have. And he never really got that opportunity. And then and everyone said, oh, no, it shouldn't have been stopped because look at how Moicano won that last round. Like, he was coming back, he hit him with some big shit. But that's because RDA took his foot off the gas because he didn't want to hurt him. Moicano gave it everything he had. Like, it was just, don't let the 5th round of that fight change that fight should have been stopped. 100%. But in terms of theater and in terms of how it was handled, as a UFC fan, as a UFC nerd, I was just on cloud nine. Like, that was amazing. That was crazy. Crazy fight. RDA wins, very clearly, which goes into the main event. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, so much bad blood, so much crazy shit. Exciting to see what's happening. And it was a good fight. Colby's just an animal. You can't really take it away from him. His skill wise, you can say a lot of other things about him, but skill wise, you cannot take it away from him. He is one of the best fighters in the world, like pound for pound. If Kamaru Usman wasn't the champ and wasn't so well suited to neutralize what Colby almost beat him both times, right? And nobody comes close to doing that to Kamaru other than Colby. So Jorge was kind of behind the 8 ball. Jorge's also 38 years old. It was just it was kind of tough to watch, but kind of what we thought would happen. He kind of just, wrestled him, and Jorge had a couple moments, dropped him once with a really nice, I think it was a left hook maybe, right on the button. Colby popped right up and wrestled him back down and just, controlled him for 5 full rounds pretty much. And it was a great fight. After the fight, Colby with the shtick, and I want to give him some forgiveness, and I have given him some forgiveness in the past because at one point his fighting style was boring to people. So the UFC didn't want him. They said, we're going to cut you. And he goes in and comes in with this heel personality, completely made up. He's a really nice guy behind the scenes, apparently. Some of his actions lately have been making me question that a little bit, but he comes out with this huge heel. He's trying to get everyone to hate him. He calls Brazilians animals in Brazil. They had to fly him out with security. It was wild. And just ever since then, he's just been, he's Donald Trump's guy. He's all MAGA. He's always wearing a MAGA hat, and it's all an act, right? Like, I'm sure some of it is playing off of his real personality, but just went full pro wrestling with it, which I don't mind. It's made him a superstar. It's got him title fights. It's got him where he is right now, or he would be cut from the UFC and probably fighting in Bellator right now. But he talks about people's kids and wives, and I just don't like the kids saying, he called out Dustin Poirier and was talking about Dustin Poirier's kids after, and Dustin Poirier is not. I didn't really like that. That was the only downer on the whole thing. I don't mind your shtick, Colby, if you can kind of keep it within the lines of what's, I don't know. All is fair in love and war, so I don't really even like putting lines on it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but in terms of a guy like me that appreciates his skills and wants him to, I think there's a better way. I think he could ride that line better and win more fans through it and not turn people off like this. And I think he's going full scorchers. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say the wildest shit because it's gotten me this far. Nothing else has worked for me. This is what it is. But man, a little bit disappointed in something like that. I think there was a really good opportunity for him to still keep the stick on. I'm not saying drop it. I think he's in too deep at this point, but there's better ways to go about it and better call-outs to make and all that type of stuff. But just an amazing fight card. I was juiced to all hell, and I'm super excited. And about this time, Travis texted me, "Hey, we're out of the comedy show. It was awesome." And he even said, that Kyle Kniff guy was so funny, right? Like, he was awesome. And I was like, yes, I'm so glad that they got to see him. At this point, I look over. Chase looks like he's about to fall asleep because, he had to work all that day. We went out and had fun the night before. He got up early, went to work all day, then went to an Oilers game, then watched the fights. He was bagged, and he just said, like, how mad would you be if I didn't come out? I was like, fuck no, like, of course not. Like, I totally get it. No worries at all, right? And also I've, 10 friends at the bar that I'm going out to. Don't worry. So he ended up just calling it a night, and I hopped in an Uber, went back to West Edmonton Mall, went back to the same Hudson's, rolled in, and got to see so many of my friends from Slave, and it was really nice. Got to meet some new significant others of people that I hadn't met before, and it was just a really awesome time. It was, I was all in my feelings about getting to reconnect with them, and that was awesome. But I think similar to Chase, I think a lot of them were pretty tired. So just over the next hour or whatever, people were pulling the chute, and it kind of ended up just being down to me and Travis at one point. And, Travis was ordering drinks and shots, and cause this is also, they just had a baby not long ago. This was they left her with grandma, and first night out, we're just having fun. And I was there for it. I was all in, to go as hard as they wanted to go or as light as they wanted to go. I was just, enjoying, and again, just being around people and seeing the dance floor and all that. So eventually it's, just me, Travis, Jamie, and another one of our friends from Slave. And I think we're just having fun and just being, our gregarious selves and attracting attention in a bar, which is something I realized when we're in Houston, of just kind of when me and Chase get going, of if you're having fun and not really giving a fuck, people will gravitate. The people in the bar that want to have fun will come gravitate to you, and you kind of just build a little, circle of just people that are like-minded, just there to have a good time. And it was awesome. And you could see it start to do that. And then, we get onto the dance floor, the four of us. And then I think that's when it really started, like some people are coming around, having fun and all that on the dance floor. Kind of a weird experience. I didn't even tell anybody that. It's just kind of occurring to me in my mind as I remember it. But at one point, I'm just dancing up. I'm having a great time. And at one part, I just saw a guy across the dance floor, and I did the old fishing line, wrapped it out, gave him the look, fished him over and reeled him in. Not thinking much of it. I'm just having a great time. I'm just partying. Then this guy was kind of weird the whole night. He's just following me around. I don't know if he read too much into the old fishing hook or what, but he's just kind of there. And maybe I was, reading too much into it too, of how he acted after. Maybe he just thought, oh, these guys are fun, but it's kind of odd. I was just kind of, trying to keep him at arm's distance on the D floor after that little thing. That just occurred to me in the moment. That was kind of a funny thing. I don't even think I even mentioned it to Trav or anyone that night. Yeah, so we were just having fun, and then it starts, I think they called last call or something. It gets a little hazy at this point. I don't really remember, but there was kind of a crew of people that were kind of having fun with us. And then I realized I see Pete Sender, the MC from the night before, and he's there, and I see him, and I'm a little bit drunk, and I'm such a comedy fan. I'm fucking nerds. He probably is like, who is this crazy guy? But I'm just like, oh, that's so sick. Like, and when we were leaving Hudson's the night before on Friday, I saw him out. He was standing outside, and I just went up to him and just said, hey, like, great job. That was awesome. Really enjoyed like the comedy and stuff, and just, being the nerd I am. That's what I said to him. So, kind of moment of record, probably didn't know who I was, but I just asked him all these comedy questions, and we're laughing, we're having fun, we're joking around still, kind of same thing. And we kind of got this little crew going. And then they're trying to get everyone out of the bar, right? As soon as you leave the bar at that point, they're not letting people in. So I think maybe part of our group got outside. And then I look in, and on the inside of the booth is Kate Quigley, the headliner, who, again, I've been a fan of for a long time, and listen to on podcasts, and I'm a very big supporter, right? Like I once someone, I listen to them on a podcast like that, and you get their full story, and you believe in them. I'm kind of ride or die for them forever. So I was kind of, holy shit, in that moment. And I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have done that. But then Travis realized this is what I'm doing. And he, I not a big fan of this because I'm just get shy and I get embarrassed, but I'm glad he did. He goes, oh, he's such a big fan. Can we get a picture? Right. And I'm just face red, like embarrassed. I don't know what to say. And I'm trying to, tell her, like, oh, I used to listen to you on Joey, and I'm probably drunk at this point. Like, I'm just embarrassed with myself. Like, I'm probably making a fool of myself, but I'm so glad we ended up getting a picture with her. That was cool. Really enjoyed that, just talked to her for a couple seconds, whatever. They're trying to shoo everybody out of the bar, and kind of they get this whole group out. And me and Trav are like, well, let's go to the Nino, right? There's a casino in West Ed, right? And Pete, the comedian, he's coming, and a couple of the other people. So we had this whole group from Hudson's. I think Jamie, Travis's fiance, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna have to double check that. I'm a terrible friend, as you can hear. And our other friend, I think they left at that point, and we rolled to this casino with this group of people and just have a ball. And yeah, we sit down at some blackjack tables. We get some money. I don't know if yeah, again, getting a little fuzzy at this point on what we're doing. But again, I think I don't even know if the whole group that was there came with us from the bar or if there was people in the casino that just saw how much fun we're having. They came up, but we met even more people because there's some people that I don't really remember from the bar, but they were there and we're having a fun time with them. We're, playing this automatic blackjack, like just these computer tables. I had one, Trav had one. We just kind of had a group around us and stuff. And I'm having so much fun talking to everybody that I don't care about the gambling. I'm not a big gambler. I was just there because the casino was somewhere to keep the party going. I wasn't really there to gamble, right? So I'm kind of playing, and I'm just not even playing. I'm just turning around, talking to all these people and talking to Pete and asking them all these, comedy questions and making people laugh and just having a good time and meeting all these new people and talking to them. Oh, you're from so-and-so, and just, this person, just having an absolute ball. I'm loving it. But then eventually I'm realizing like, fuck, I'm not even gambling right now. I just want to talk to people. So I got Pete to sit down. I was just like, gamble my money. I don't care. Do whatever you want. Just have fun. Money's already in there. And I still, so I'm now behind him and I'm just talking to different people, having fun. Oh, it was a great night. Like just, wasn't even talking to Travel that much, like a little bit, like in and out, but like just, cause he was, on his gambling, he was doing really good. He was, I think, fuck if I know, maybe he lost $1 million for all I was aware of it at that point. But I think in the end, he ended up doing pretty good. I think more so he was just having a good time too. And we're drinking and we're having a really great time there. And at one point Pete goes, like, he was up, I don't know what I put in, $100 or whatever, but it was up to like, $300, $400. And he goes, are we splitting this? And I was like, yeah, sure. Whatever. Again, I don't care. I was just there for the party. Right. And I'm also fucking pretty hammered at this point. So he's like 6. So he's gambling my man. He just said, we'll split at the end and we're having time. So by the time, they kick us out, me and, Pete split the money. I think at one point in this, Travis just pulled the old Irish exit, got a cab back to his hotel by West Ed there. But, me and Pete were having a good time, just met him that night. And this was so funny. All the other people there thought me and Pete were like old friends from way back, right? And we just met that night, really. And it was it was quite funny. So then we, they call last call at the casino, and I'm like, fuck, like, how are we gonna get home? And then we're walking around the mall with these people, and I think me and Pete both kind of had the same idea of, hey, we don't want to have to try and find a way home. So like, and I shouldn't fucking put anything on him. I don't know. Just take it at his word. But we're trying to see if any of the group will let us stay, because I think a lot of them had rooms at Fantasyland, trying to wheel and deal just to I'm sure all the girls we asked were probably thinking, these idiots don't want a place to stay. They're trying to hook up with us, right? But I can tell you very honestly, I just did not want to Uber home at 4:30 in the morning, right? So we're trying to, obviously we're nice guys, so we're not like pressuring too much. Just like promise, like we'll sleep on the floor, like no worries, like we don't have a bed and all this stuff or whatever, and kind of figured out, no, wasn't happening. So me and Peter, like, fuck, okay, well, guess this is the end. So we kind of split up, and then last minute, my Uber is like 2 minutes away. It's like 4:45 a.m. I'm so tired. I'm just dreading this Uber. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to, like, I'm almost thinking, I want to go get my own room and just stay here tonight. I just don't want to deal with this Uber ride home. And one of the girls from that night calls me. There's two. I still don't even know which one called me or how they got my number. Anyway, no idea. And just said like, okay, we feel bad. We have an extra room. Like nothing's gonna happen. I'm like, I told you guys, like I just want a place to sleep. She's like, okay, if you buy us food, you can come stay here. I'm like, perfect. So I cancel the Uber, roll up there, and I was like, and ended up just going to bed. I was like, I'm not buying you guys food right now. I'm going to bed. Like, I said, I'll buy you food in the morning. I'll get you guys breakfast. And they were like, oh, it's perfect. And I was like, okay, they just clearly want food. I don't give a fuck. Sure, I'll buy you food. I just want a place to stay. So slept over there. Into a wild night. Woke up in the morning, less hungover than the night before, even though I drank like probably, I don't know how much more, but what I think it was just drinking vodka sodas all night with Trav was really good, because then maybe you're hydrating. I don't know, maybe I'm just making up stories in my head, but woke up in this room with these two girls, and I'm like, what am I doing here? What do I do? They're like, what do you want for breakfast? I'm like, I don't want nothing. Just order whatever you guys want. I'll leave you money. I gotta get out of here, right? Just so I wake up, I roll out, I'm texting Travis. He's like, oh dude, like what happened? Like, so he texted me and said, hey, so sorry for just pulling the pin. I was tired. I just, and that, whatever, doesn't matter. I had a great time. I told him, oh, I ended up staying up. Like I just stayed at the mall. He's like, oh really? So he was just at a hotel close to it. Rolled over. We went back to the casino and just, not like the night before, we're going just, some just bullshit and catching up on the night. Just threw a 20 in a machine. I'd throw 20, he'd throw 40 in a machine, just sit there and, see what happened. Ended up, won a little bit of money. I couldn't even tell you how much. Like I just have no draw to gambling. I think all my gambling friends can tell you exactly how much they made. All this. I'm just like, I don't really know. As long as I know I never lose a ton, because if I ever start losing, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm out. I don't want to do this. So I know it's never that. And if I win some, it's like, oh yeah, it's great, but I don't know. I had no idea, but I know we didn't lose any money that morning. We just had good bullshit, and it was so nice, because it was so nice to see my friends from Slave, and like of everyone that was there, Travis was clearly my closest friend too. But it's loud in the bar. You don't get to, we were having a great time. Like, don't get me wrong, we had a great time, but we didn't really get to catch up. So that was nice that morning. Spun a few, caught up bullshit in the quiet casino, because a casino on a Sunday morning is a little bit more tame. Walked around the mall a bit, grabbed some food, and got to see Jamie and talk a bit with her, and that was just really nice. Really loved it. And then kind of went home, and what did I do at home? Yeah, I kind of went home, laid down for a bit. My parents headed back to Slave Lake, and kind of had the house to myself, just me and the dog. And that day, I got a text from Melissa saying, "Hey, I'd like to take. I have Mondays off. I'd like to take the dog for the day, and then I can take her to daycare on Tuesday, and then bring her back to you that night. I just kind of want to have the dog." And this is the first time we talked since that phone call, even text, which is probably the most days in a row that we haven't talked at all in probably like 4.5 years. So it was. I didn't answer it right away. I just kind of tried to pretend it didn't happen, still trying to ride the high of the weekend, but then, the hangover. And this is something that was very eye-opening for me. It was just the anxiety that comes with a weekend of drinking. I've heard people talk about it, but I think I just haven't drank that much after. Just, there's a lot of anxiety, and you pay for it. And I don't regret it at all. And that's me and my sister were having this conversation yesterday about drinking and the anxiety that comes after it. And I was saying, like, yeah, I think I really need to make sure that the trade-off of like those 2 nights, that Friday night and that Saturday night, were so much fun. It was worth it for that anxiety and for that the wear and tear that it puts on. And I think that is something that should be talked about more, and people should be more understanding of that. And like, yeah, it's one thing to get, like hammered on a Tuesday just for the sake of getting hammered or whatever, and that's one thing. But if it's for the right reasons, with the right people, for the right event, and the amount of fun it is, it's worth it. I need to be more cognizant of calculating that. Not that I drink all that much. I kind of maybe figured out that I already was doing that, but I didn't really put a I didn't fully understand why I was doing it, and I kind of was figuring that out. But so I just texted back, I guess, that night, Sunday, and just said like, yeah, like that, whatever you need, that works. Like, I'll have the stuff ready. I'll have the stuff ready. Oh, I completely forgot Friday. Now do I just finish it out, or do I go back? No, I'm going to go back. We're going to put a pin in it. Sunday night, texting Alyssa back about the dog, feeling kind of anxious. There's a lot of the sadness is coming back, and just kind of once my parents left Sunday and I was in the house alone, just me and the dog, it was kind of, a little bit somber, a little bit, it was tough again. And it was shitty because I was thinking, I just had such a fun couple days, and then just right back to, feeling kind of down. And that was kind of what I felt when I got back from that trip, of just a month of exact reset of exactly what I needed with Chase of that trip. Like, I needed that so much more than I can even explain to you guys, and feeling so good. And then getting home and kind of how quickly the old feelings settled back in. It was like, shit, I kind of hope that, and I don't know why I expected anything different on that one. I just thought maybe like, a month of feeling pretty good, and there was a lot of sadness in the middle of it too. But yeah. Yeah. So Friday, get back to Friday. So yeah, that Thursday night before all the craziness, I had kind of decided when I'm moving back to Edmonton that I want to start getting back to work a little bit. And I know that that was a very big deal, and you guys were along for the ride of me making that decision to step back from work and to kind of pursue this full time and just to try and get my mental health in check, right? And that was the same time I made the decision to break up with Alyssa, and I just kind of pulled the shotgun effect and just said, I feel so bad. I am just going to try and change everything instead of maybe doing what I should have done of changing one aspect of the time. It would be a little bit more scientific, a little bit more following the scientific method. But I just felt like what I needed at that time was that. And now I'm kind of trying to add things back, right? And clearly the thing with Alyssa is not something I can add back, and I'm trying to accept that. And that is part of it. But also with work is I don't really want to ever step back into what I was doing in Grande Prairie. It was just too much to have that many people's livelihoods kind of almost in your hands, and you care so much about them. And, they say, I need more money, and I want to give you more money, but this is hard times and things are so like, I just hated that of being kind of stuck in the middle there. But the high level stuff of like running the business and some of the bigger change, like I really love that stuff. I love business. Business is amazing. It's just the people side of business and the commercial side of it, the like industrial side. No, that's not the right word. Like working with the big companies, like once it gets over, a company of a couple hundred people and you're talking about the corporate side, that's the word. Did I say that word already? That's what I wanted. The corporate side, I really didn't enjoy all that much, but also because of that, I really enjoyed being the defender that could, stand up against the corporate side and really fight for those people that I really cared for and make sure that we are getting our fair piece of the pie. I really enjoyed that part. So my plan is to move into my dad's office in Edmonton and just work on my podcast stuff there. But as they're doing meetings and people are coming in and out, I can kind of put my 2 cents in and go back, get back to, dipping my toes back into that world and helping a bit and doing that and have some bigger plans with it. So that's what Friday was, I moved my computer into the office, went through all my mail that I had from my office and GP, filed it all as much as I could, went through all my emails because I had, like 3,000 to 5,000 emails from that trip to the US that were still sitting on my docket. I crushed through a bunch of them, but I still had hundreds and hundreds to go through. Did all that, sat in on a couple, helped them solve some, put my 2 cents in on a couple big things and kind of got the itch back of, oh man, this was pretty fun. And that was a great day as well. And a great thing to see of like, oh, there is, it was nice to miss that of how much I was just so overwhelmed with it, and to kind of get back of like, oh, you get to see in the same way that, when you realize what you have with someone once you break up with them, like seeing the positive sides of the work. And that was like, and to be able to work with my dad and sit there, and it's always lots of laughs. Like that was always the part of work I liked. I liked working with him, but that was always, a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week where we'd be on meetings, and the rest of the time we're completely separate. And I'm running this operation and don't really have the full say in some of the big things that I really want to do because I was busy, hiring drivers and making sure we had, mechanics in the shop, and that, the sky is falling over here and the sky is falling. If you run a business, you learn that the sky is always falling. It's just falling on different people at different times. But if you're at the top and everyone comes to you, the sky is falling all the time with everything. There's always something on the go. Somebody always needs something, and it was a lot. But I really enjoyed kind of getting back into that office, and I'm excited going forward. I think my dad's going to be back, and he's back and forth between Slave Lake and here. But when he's back in the office later this week to go back in and do that stuff, I'm really looking forward to it, which is a different feeling. I don't think I was ever really looking forward to going to work other than certain days with certain meetings that I was really excited for getting into. I didn't feel that feeling a lot, and to feel that again is very nice. So that was kind of what happened Friday before I went over to Chase's and played Crash and went to the comedy show. That's what I missed on Friday, but I feel like it's an important piece that I really wanted to cover. So that's why we did this little bit of a trip back, but now getting back to Sunday night. Feeling a lot of anxiety over the drinking or whatever it is. You just feel unwell. It's hard to explain. I'm sure everyone listening probably knows what the anxiety after a weekend of drinking feels like. For some reason, I've just never really put it together that way. So this is kind of my first time going through it, knowing what I'm going through, and be like, ooh, this is not all that fun. Plus all the other shit going on. So yeah, I'm texting her and I'm kind of dreading Monday because, like I said, the difference between the breakup when it happened and me breaking up with her versus what's now of, the rejection and not being able to give it a shot, even though the reasoning's right there and I respect it and I have all that, it's still very tough. And, to know that someone, and again, and want is the wrong word, but that inescapable feeling of not being enough and having to address that and to have to see somebody that you, it's gonna get tough again. It was gonna be tough to see her. I knew it was gonna be tough to see her, right? And also to give her the dog and not have my little buddy around for like 2 days, but whatever. Just when you're in that kind of zone, you don't want to be alone. And so Monday, wake up, went on the call for the first time. We have a Monday morning call with work. That's always been something that even when I step back from work, I would kind of just hop on the Monday call and just kind of keep abreast, because all the managers are on there, all the different areas, all the the manager from Valley View, from Whitecourt, from High Level, they're all kind of hop on there to bring up what is the big issues they're working through right now. And it kind of, everybody sets the table for what's up that week, all the big things on the go, which trucks are down, what needs to be done, where we need more manpower, kind of that sort of thing. So hopped on that for the first time Monday morning. But the whole time I'm just thinking, as soon as this meeting ends, I'm going to have to see Alyssa. And it's just, it's getting pretty anxious. And again, still that same anxiety and all that. And, and then she showed up to get the dog, and it was worse than I ever thought. It was, just to see someone and just like every instinct in your body is just reaching, you just want to grab them and hug them and squeeze them and never let go, right? Like it was a much different feeling, and it was overwhelming and kind of tough to handle. And I'm sure it was hard on her too. I can only say from my side, but then, and she took the dog and was gone. And then I was just alone in the house feeling a lot of feelings, and just kind of went and laid in bed and was depressed all day. And, it was a tough day yesterday. And just wasn't, and then I'm not proud of myself that I just wasted a whole day sitting around being sad, and then I'm beating myself up for that. And all the feelings you're struggling with of feeling unworthy and rejection and that bad voice I've had in my head my whole life. That I shouldn't even say a bad voice, because it's bad when you let it control you, because I think it's an important voice, because I also have a very strong voice in my head that says, I'm amazing. I can do anything. You put me in the right room and I could be the president of the United States, right? Like, it's completely asinine, the confidence that I have in myself that is very deep and just feels innate. There's almost not even a voice. It's just a feeling I have that feels true. And that's always been my truth, and I've always had that. But I've also to counteract that, because that truth has got me in trouble so much time. I feel like I have this other voice that calms that down and says, no, you're not. You're an idiot. What are you thinking? Like, back that off. Who are you? What have you done to deserve it? And kind of keeps me of only being proud of that stuff when I can deserve it. And I think it's a healthy voice, but only when it's kept in check and it's not driving the boat. And I think through depression, that voice kind of gets out ahead of it, and it can really kind of run the show, and it makes you really kind of not believe in that truth. It never goes away completely, and I always have it, but just those days, it really makes you question, why am I doing this? Why did I quit my job? Like, who am I to think I could start a podcast and all this? And it gets to some really dark places. It just kind of follows the natural progression of where things go, and it gets to a tough place. So I was just kind of, in bed most of the day. Courtney got back. She was gone to Calgary, so she got back at some point during the day and just, said hi through the door of just me laying on that bed, kind of being a sad sack of shit. And then she had to go off to work, so she was gone most of the day. So it was just kind of a really tough day that I just kind of sat around and felt sorry for myself and beat myself up at the same time, which is a really weird combo of things that kind of don't seem like they go together, but somehow they did. And just kind of, I wanted to just, take that day. I'd already wasted a whole day. I was like, I'm just going to, there's the Battle of Alberta tonight. I'm just going to order a whole bunch of bad food. I'm going to eat my feelings, which I know isn't healthy, but I gave myself that permission. I'm going to order all the Boston pizza I want and skip the dishes. And I'm just going to be sad, and I'm going to lay in bed, and I'm going to watch this hockey game. And, that was my plan. So I order food. I go and I smoke a bowl, get high, which I don't know. It feels even weird to say. Like I feel it's so non-entity to me, but I feel like so many. I just feel so judged when I say that. Anyway, and I go upstairs to get the food. I throw the game on. And it's just kind of starting, and Courtney comes home, and she just kind of told me about her weekend. It sounded like she had a really great weekend, and she kind of asked how I said, and I just said, "Oh, it's been a tough day," and I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth to even say like, "Oh, it's a tough day, so all this kind of thing." But I was so close to crying that I couldn't really fully explain what I was going through. I think Courtney realized right away that, or maybe my parents had told her, because I talked to my parents on the phone that day and kind of let them know too. That I was having a really tough day, and so maybe they told her, who knows. But I just said, and I ordered a bunch of food from Boston Pizza that, are me and Courtney's favorite. So I just ordered more so that she could have some too. And I just told her when she got home, like, hey, I ordered Boston Pizza, just eating my feelings, but like we got pierogi pizza, which I know is your fave, and some Thai bites and all that stuff. So so my plan was just to, go down to my room and watch the hockey game and kind of eat. But, we got talking and, just had a really, I don't know, again, I get so emotional over the happier things than the sad things, I think, at least in terms of tears. Because it's beautiful. It was awesome. We had an amazing, amazing talk. And it was exactly what I needed, and just to kind of open up about a lot of things and to talk about things with someone that knows me so well. And kind of talk through some of the lessons that I learned. And I think just having someone, a sounding board like that knows you and can kind of prod you on the right way, which again goes back to therapy. And I think that's a lot of what a therapist can do for you, which is kind of what I was hinting at earlier. And we talked about therapy, and therapy is something that I really wanted to do for a long time. And I've tried it before. The egotistical side of me is everyone I've talked to so far, I'm like, you're an idiot. I want to listen to you. I know more than you. Like, I can't handle it. And I knew that going in because I listened to this amazing podcast that I should have looked up before this. I've recommended it a bunch of times. It's on WOTP, Wife of the Party, who's Leanne Kreischer. She's the wife of comedian Bert Kreischer. She started her own podcast and just kind of has her friends on. They do book reviews. And she had on one point her friend who's a therapist, or maybe her friend and her friend's therapist, or her friend's therapist friend. Anyway, and they talk about therapy and the process of finding a therapist and what you're going to go through and red flags to look for, and kind of talked about it's going to take a while. You're going to have to find someone that matches with you, and the odds of you getting the right person on the first try are astronomical. So I kind of knew that, and I went through that at the darkest time when I was right before I started this podcast, when I don't know where it ranks now, and that I've lived a more life and gone through some more things of if that was rock bottom, but definitely at the time it was rock bottom. And I went on betterhelp.com, which is an amazing service. It's an app. You can download it right there. I don't mean to discredit this app because I think it's amazing. I think just for what I need, it's, I'm just after something a little bit different, but it's an app where you just kind of fill out an intake form. They pair you with someone, and you can kind of go through and just try people. And if you want to just text, you can text. If you want to do a video chat, you can do a video chat. If you want to call, you can call. It's an amazing service. I think this is awesome. I think everyone should know about this, and more people should talk about it. BetterHelp, awesome. Hey, come on, sponsor the podcast. Listen to what I talk about. This is perfect. Anyway, and I tried that, and I didn't really like it, but I thought I want to do the only thing that was holding me back, I think, from dumping into BetterHelp was I need to at least, I love the option of having video calls, phone calls, texting. That sounds great. But at the start, it has to be in person, right? Like I need to get to know somebody and to be able to really test who they are and get a vibe of them. If I'm going to actually listen to them, I knew that I needed that. And because I knew I wasn't going to live in Grande Prairie forever, I would just put it off because, like, well, I'm going to got to wait till I get to Edmonton because I'm not going to find a therapist and GP here and then move away and then have that whole thing. So that was kind of the thing in my head that stopped me from doing it. And, talking to Courtney, I was just like, why did I put that off? And just to talk about it and talk about the process of what therapy is. And it was just an amazing conversation that she really helped me through a lot of things and just made me very thankful for the support systems that I have. And I think as much as it sucks to go through something like that, I think there's so many lessons in it, and it's so much gratitude for what you have. Because imagine going through something like this and not having an amazing support system, an amazing family, amazing friends that can help you through it when times get tough. It just breaks my heart to think of people out there and what they're dealing with is just probably 10 times what I'm dealing with. I'm just a kind of a baby, but and to do it without what I have, it just really fires home the thankfulness and the gratitude for the life I have and all that. And that doesn't discount the work that I've done to create a good life as well. You can't just put it all at the feet of others, but as much as you can, you should. Yeah, it was just an amazing conversation. I didn't watch a goddamn minute of the Battle of Alberta, also because it looked like the Oilers were kind of getting shitter pumped, so I just kind of didn't want to see it. I cannot. In the state I was in, I did not have the strength to watch the Oilers lose to the Flames. So I just kind of, talked with Courtney, ate some good food, and we bullshitted, and then, I felt really good after that. Like, well, comparatively to what I was feeling all day, I really need that conversation. I kind of, oh man, like I'm in a much better place than I was a couple hours ago before this conversation. And, went downstairs thinking it was all good. I'm like, I'm just going to play some guitar. I'm just going to play some guitar and sing a little bit and, have some fun. And, I ended up just being me just crying like a motherfucker, if I'm honest with you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever heard a song called 25 in Barcelona. It's a song about a guy who, went to Barcelona after a breakup for his birthday to try not to think about her, and he wrote the song while he's on this trip, and it was a little bit too close to home, and a couple of the other songs. I just have this Spotify playlist that I forgot of liked songs that I've been itching. I've been really loving. I've been playing a ton of guitar lately, and I've been really loving it, but I want new songs, but it's hard to find new songs. Like I just don't have good mechanisms for finding new music. That's why I always put those things out on social media, like send me songs to learn, right? And I realized, I have all these songs. So I went through and all these songs that I've listened to a bunch of times and I really enjoy on through Spotify, but I don't have them on like my Apple playlist. So it's not like I'm hearing them all the time, but when I do, I really like them enough to actually save them. But so many of them, the words in the state that I'm in, love like, I've heard the song before, but wherever I was mentally, it just I wasn't hearing the words. Which I found with a bunch of music that I even some John Mayer songs I know like the back of my hand are just hitting different this week. Oh my God. Whew. But yeah, I'm just trying to learn these songs and I'm just bawling, sitting there, like just, trying to play guitar through tears. Like, and it's just, but I also think that was important. I think I needed that. I think I was kind of hiding from just letting it go like that. And, yeah. And I woke up, today feeling, not great, I think that'd be, ridiculous to assume, but just I feel like I figured some things out. I got up and, didn't have the dog to care. So just got up, went for a run, came back down, wrote out kind of a bit of what I want to say, just a bit of this, and then did a meditation. And you guys are anybody that's listening to the podcast is going to probably be sitting in their car, smashing this, but what the fuck, Nick, that's what you need. You haven't been doing it. And I haven't been. I had my first meditation in, I don't know, 2 months. And I think probably part of that is just not wanting, it's so scary. And I know there's so much benefit from it, but I just didn't want to sit with myself right now. I didn't want to hear, I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to go through, but I did. And it was amazing. And I loved it. And it was awesome. I might meditate again later today. Whew. It was just a good experience and added a few more things. A few of the things I talked about here came from that meditation of just the realization and so many of the lessons, just that detached thought process of trying not to think of anything. It allows certain thoughts to come in and certain lessons to hit without the attachment and without the recoil of, I don't want to think about this. This hurts, because you're kind of detached and you're just seeing the thoughts. And yeah, it was awesome. And I've learned this lesson plenty of times, but I need to learn it again. Of just, you need to use the tools that help you. And it's so hard when you get under that wave of that wet blanket of depression and beating yourself up. And it's so hard just to do the basic things that, will make you feel better. And I've been decent on, the working out again since I got back from that trip of trying to make sure I run every day. And that helps a lot. And, but none of these things work on their own. You got to be really diligent with it, and you got to take it on. So that's another one of the lessons that I've learned, relearned, let's say, just as of late. And and I was excited and terrified to hop on and do this solo cast. Just like I said, I was in such a dark place. That's Sunday, even still, like before that conversation with Alyssa and just about kind of where things were going after that trip, and going back to being alone and having to really not have the distraction of the trip and of Chase and of Remy to really keep me away from it, just sitting with it. I wasn't proud of how I was able to really bring those ideas forward, and just feeling in a better place. Like I can already say it right now, I'm really proud of this conversation. I'm happy I got this out, and it's to a level of how I wanted to talk about it. And it was vulnerable and it sucked, and I cried half the time, and I probably sound like a blithering idiot, but I'm glad I got it out, and it feels good. Yeah. I don't know where else to go with it. I guess just some of the things going forward, and I'm excited. I have some plans with I need help with the podcast, and I think I might have an eye on someone that can come in and help. And I feel like I'm so excited because I have such a good plan in my head of all the things that I need to do. I'm just so overwhelmed with all of it that I know I can't do it by myself. And if I have someone to kind of come in and divide that work by two, and come in, I'm really excited about where I can take this. And it's given me a lot of that faith back of, hey, you do know what you're doing. You do have a good plan for this. Yeah, you're going through some shit, and you're allowing that voice to beat you down and lose track of that innate faith that you have that you're going to do special things. Again, happy things, cry. Why? Yeah. And, yeah, it's, I'm excited for it. And, I think there's gonna be some new shows on the way. Some cool little things. And once I have a little bit of, help to kind of bring them all to fruition, I'm really excited to bring them all to you guys and to really step into it and start scheduling more. And if you're out there, if we have ever talked about doing the podcast and we just never made it happen, because I hate bugging people for it. It feels so awful to bug people to come on, because I feel like at some level that, you should be happy to, but that's just my ego talking probably, but it allows me to, I don't want to bug you. Like if I've asked you and I've said like, oh, I love, like, let's just tell me when you have time. And then it kind of fizzled from there. Please reach out, because I want to do so many episodes. Like I just, it's so, booking the podcast is one of the hardest things for me to do. I just don't like it. I feel bad. It feels icky. I feel like I'm forcing people onto it and like just twisting their arm, and that I just value their time so much that they're going to, take time out of their day, to do it. But also what helps my mental health, helps me be in the right place to sit down and book episodes like that, is doing episodes. And I feel like I'm on a roll right now. I'm going to probably reach out to people after this podcast and try and invite a bunch of people on. But I would love to do a podcast a day. And I think that's another thing about bringing someone on that can hold me accountable and starting getting schedule going, because I think not having a schedule has been really tough. And if I can start working a schedule in and start, doing 4 to 5 podcasts a week, I feel like that's going to be so good for me. And I'm really excited to get to that point, and I know I can do it. And I know that's well within my means of what I have to offer. And I'm excited for that. So something for you guys to look forward to. I hope you enjoy, what I talked about. Oh, maybe I want to talk about this upcoming card this weekend. There's a fight night this weekend that I'm really, really excited for. Maybe I can just bullshit. If you're not into fighting and you want to turn it off right now, maybe I'll just, leave this right at the end. And just, I'm trying to think if there's anything I want to wrap up before I get to that. Just, I guess, another big thank you to you guys that listen. I mean, I wouldn't have this opportunity for this kind of catharsis if you guys weren't listening and giving me the ability to do what I love and to chase this passion, to chase this dream. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I value it a lot. And that is one of the things that drives me to do better. And unfortunately, I think one of the things that allows me to really pile on myself when things aren't going as well and I'm not proud of the effort that I'm putting in and that type of thing, because I do value you guys that listen. It means so much to me. I was talking to someone the other day and they were saying like, oh, I feel bad, I haven't really listened to it. I assume nobody listens to this. Like, when I come across someone, even if you're my best friend, I just assume people don't listen, and it's just the nicest surprise when people do. So if you're one of those people listening, I appreciate you so much. All the messages are nice. I appreciate all that. And again, I always want to caveat this with like, I'm doing fine. Like I'm not, yeah, it's been tough, but I'm getting through it and I'm learning so many great lessons. There is a lot of silver linings to this. I'm not, I even hate bringing this up because it's such a touchy subject, but like never once does suicide or any self-harm come to my mind. I've never been at that point, and I'm so thankful that I don't have that in me. And that's something that's tough with this, is I've get so much of what I get recommended when I do open up about how I'm feeling is everyone wants to know, oh, have you tried getting on something? Have you tried? And I don't need to demonize that, but because it has helped so many people I know, and there's no stigma to that, whatever you need. But I just think we don't understand what those drugs do just yet, and SSRIs and all these things and all the side effects that come with them. And so many people that have never thought about suicide a day in their life, but are really having a trouble and not enjoying life, they get on these things, and some of the side effects is suicidal tendency. I feel like it's important to talk about, and this is different aspects. I don't have maybe direct experience, and maybe if you're listening out there and you have a really great experience with getting on something that you want to talk about, I would love to hear that side too. I just think for myself, it's tough for me to hear that as a recommendation, because I know I can get through it. And that's the thing, as dark as this gets, I know I never lose hope at all. And yeah. And just don't worry about me. Like I am fine. And yeah, I need a little softer gloves just as of late. My family and my support system have done amazing with that. But yeah, no, I'm doing fine. Don't worry about me. Everyone's got a lot going on in their lives and all that. So I'll just end off with that. And then I'll, you guys, if you hate my fight talk, you can piss right off at this point and just turn the pod off. Or I can tell you guys about this card coming up this weekend. So it's UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Ankalaev. Ooh, that is going to be a good scrap. So I'll start off right at the bottom. So we got Tafon Nchukwe, who's 6-1. I think his brother just fought last weekend. They're amazing. They're from, I don't know what that flag is. It's somewhere in Africa. I knew it before. And he's fighting Azamat Mirzakhanov, who's a 10-0 undefeated light heavyweight prospect. This is going to be a great fight. I think they're both two really good light heavyweights in kind of a division, with the light heavyweight division that needs some blood, needs some stars. I think, it's early on the prelims, and probably a lot of people won't watch it too much, but as a nerd, I'm really excited for this fight. And I think if you do watch it, you're probably seeing one of these guys in the light heavyweight top 15 rankings. If not after this fight, they'll be pretty close to it, if not both of them. So that's really exciting. Then we got Guido Canetti, who I don't know as much. Solid ass name, Guido Canetti. Let's go. I don't know if he's Greek or Italian, but it sounds pretty good. And he's fighting Chris Moutinho, who, if you guys will remember, Sugar Sean fought somebody a while back that was a short notice replacement, first fight in the UFC, and absolutely proceeded to punch his face off for 3 rounds straight. But the guy never went down, never took a backward step, just kept coming forward. 8 the most significant strikes in a UFC fight, I think. And for that, they said, we're going to give you another chance. And he hasn't yet to have his full training camp, hop in his debut in the UFC with a training camp. And this is his debut. And, because I'm such a big fan of Sugar and what he went through with Chris, I'm really excited to see him get his shot and to see him coming in. Then the next fight is Cody Brundage versus Dalcha Lungambulia. No idea, but it's in the UFC. It's going to be a great fight. Can't add much to it myself. Then we got Sabina Mazo versus Miranda Maverick. Ooh, I'm very excited about this one. I've been super high on Miranda Maverick. She just had a tough loss she just lost this another really big prospect the other day. Who was it? She's coming off of 2 losses. She lost a split decision to Macy Barber. I thought she won that fight, but that's tough. And then came off of that and ran into Erin Blanchfield, who is another up and coming prospect, another young fighter, and she kind of put it on her. Lost a unanimous decision, but looked really good. And I felt like what I thought after that fight was, Erin Blanchfield went up in my books. Miranda Maverick just stayed. I'm still really high on her. I just thought that was a really, really tough test, and she's getting better at such a great rate. I think this is a crazy bounce back. I think she's going to really show what she has. Maybe if I wanted to give a bet, if you wanted to throw $10 on Miranda Maverick, I think you're going to come back. I don't know what the odds are. It might be terrible odds where it's not even worth it to you, but maybe to throw in a parlay. I'm really high on her. I think she's going to be great for a lot of years. She's really young, and I think she's going to be a big star at one point. Then we got Damon Jackson, who is always, oh man, that guy's a zombie. I don't know why. He freaks me out when I watch him fight. There's just something about his demeanor, but I love it. It's exciting. And he's fighting Kamwela Kirk. I don't really know him. But probably going to be a great fight. I've never seen a Damon Jackson fight that wasn't that exciting. Trevin Jones, who's a really good prospect, versus Javid Basharat, 11-0. I don't really know him. I'm sure I've seen him fight, but he's from UK, Ireland. Ooh, that's exciting. Yeah, so that sounds like a pretty good fight. Then we got JJ Aldrich, Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson, the Canadian, she moved to Florida as a kid, but she still reps Canada. She always got the red hair. She comes out with the flag, and that's good enough for me. She has just been fighting killer. She's a great grappler. She's got her own little team. She's lots of people go to these big teams. It's just her and Dean Thomas, and I think that's what you want to be. If you want to be a star, you need to kind of create your own team around you, just like Suga has Tim Welch. I really love that she does that, and she goes about it. Great personality. I really enjoy Jillian Robertson. I never miss her fights. Super pumped for that. JJ Aldrich is another great matchup, this is great matchmaking. I think this is going to be a scrap. I'm not going to give you, I'm always going to ride with my Canadians, Jillian all day. But like, if I'm trying to tell you like betting picks, I don't know. I have no idea on that one. But that always makes the best fights. And then we got Matt Semmelsberger. Matt Semmelsberger. Oh, that is tough. I think like I know how to pronounce it, but when I tried to read it, that just got me all fucked up. Versus AJ Fletcher at 9-0. Wow. 9-0 welterweight. That's going to be a pretty good fight. I don't really know him all that much. I don't really remember. Ooh, and then we have Alex Pereira. Let's go. Versus Bruno Silva. So Alex Pereira was a kickboxer. If you guys are familiar with Israel Adesanya, one of my favorite fighters, just saw him fight in Houston. He only lost 2 kickboxing, maybe 3, but like recently only ever lost like 2 kickboxing fights in like the 100 he had or whatever, 80 fights he had. And they were both to Alex Pereira. One was I think it was a close decision that I think maybe Izzy had won. I'm not really sure. And then one was a really bad knockout because Alex Pereira has some of the craziest power we've ever seen in combat sports. He's like a little Francis Ngannou, but like different because it's not just, it's weird power, like flying knees, elbows, like he is a scary individual. And Bruno Silva has been around a long time and he has a way crazier MMA resume. And this is Alex's first real test in the UFC. Like the last one was, and he got taken down the first round and then flying kneed this guy's head off in his debut, right? And everyone's so excited. Oh, when's he going to fight Izzy? When's he got to fight Izzy? But he's got to, fight a few guys in between and kind of figure it out. He's got to fight a Brunson type that'll wrestle his face off. I don't know if Bruno Silva is that guy. I don't know Bruno Silva too much, but I've heard his name. I know he's been around. He's got he's 22-6. I think he's going to probably force Pereira to show a different level of where he's going to be. So I'm really, really excited for that fight. That might be the fight I'm most excited for on this card. I hope Alex Pereira just comes out and does something crazy and that moves him up, maybe even gets him close to a ranked opponent, gets him into that top 15, then we can really see what he's got, see how we can defend the wrestling, because no matter what a crazy striker he is, he's only been grappling for a couple of years, right? And you just don't know what he has until he has it. He's a crazy athlete, so he probably can put it together, but we just have to see if he can, and then perform on the big lights. Then we got Drew Dober versus Terrence McKinney. Terrence McKinney, crazy story. Had a crazy drug experience, got way too high on something and, jumped through a plate glass window, cut his neck, fought all these cops, was crazy, died twice on the way to the hospital, found himself, got better. He was a late replacement on a UFC card a couple months back and was a huge underdog coming in. Maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm guessing he was a huge underdog because he came in on a few days' notice and knocked this guy out in like 6 seconds. It was a crazy story. And the personality this guy has, and when he hops on these podcasts and stuff, you can just tell he's got it. And then he steps in 2 weekends ago, fights again, and absolutely blows through another bigger test. And it was like, holy shit, this Terrence McKinney kid's for real. And he's talking big shit. He says he wants to be a ranked, be in the rankings by the end of the year and wants to win the title by next year. He's talking all the shit he should, and he's got a great personality. And then he's fighting Drew Dober, I love. He's a great guy, just a really not like a family man because he's too young, but he's almost like a Sage Northcutt-esque, really polite, really well-spoken, like not who you would envision as a fighter, just like an athlete that takes this as a sport, right? And he's really great. He's had some tough matchups. He's just coming off a couple losses, I think. Let me just look. Yeah, so he was on a really good win streak. He had beat Polo Reyes, Nasrat Hakparast, who was a super talented fighter, and then he beat Alex Hernandez, really good win streak. So they give him Islam Makhachev, poor guy, who is probably going to be the champ. You'll be seeing him soon. You just saw him, and he obviously lost to Islam in round 3, but he put up a better fight against Islam Makhachev than Dan Hooker and Bobby Green and pretty much anyone else. Like I thought that was another one similar to the Miranda Maverick loss where I didn't think his stock fell too much. I thought Drew Dober is still a really good fight. I'm really, really excited about him. I think he's going to make waves, and he's young. I just thought there was no way he was having a chance against Islam Makhachev. Sorry, I mean, that's kind of mean, but I just, different levels. And then he lost a decision to Brad Riddell, and Brad Riddell's trays with Izzy out in City Kickboxing in New Zealand, and again is one of the best fighters I think in that division. I think he's a bit slept on, and again, I don't think Drew Dober's stock fell. So I think a lot of people go into it and it's like, oh, he's coming off 2 losses. Like, what do we really have with this guy? And I think that's all. I think that is all just circumstance. I do not think that really impacts on who he is, and I think he's really going to be chomping at the bit. And Terrence McKinney, this is a way step. Like Drew Dober is going to be his stiffest matchup he's ever faced in his entire life, but he's been running through everyone else they put in front of him. So this is a huge, and doing it on 2 weeks' notice. Just fought 2 weeks ago. He's hopping back in. That's what makes guys stars. That's what makes Kevin Holland a star. When you really just any place, anywhere, really capitalize on it. People remember you. Oh, I just saw him fight a couple weeks ago. That adds that entertainment. If he can come through, if he can beat Drew Dober, guaranteed he's going to be a ranked fighter in that division by the end of the year. And I think if Drew Dober wins, he's legit. He ran into a couple tough guys, but he's learning, he's getting better, and he gets better every fight. I want to see, after taking those losses to Brad Riddell and to Islam Makhachev, which are both chock full of lessons, I'm really surprised. He's got a good team. I'm excited to see who he comes out with, how he comes out looking. Then we've got Khalil Roundtree, always a great fighter. He reinvents himself, one of the most cerebral, intelligent fighters. I just love the way he talks and the way he looks at the world. I really enjoy him kind of as a person. He's fighting Carl Roberson. That's going to be just a banger of a fight. I thought Carl Roberson was middleweight and Khalil Roundtree was light heavyweight. Where does it say? What are they fighting at? Anyways, you guys probably don't care about this stuff. I'm curious myself. Then Alex Caceres versus Sadiq Youssef. This is going to be a wild featherweight fight. If you probably don't know who Alex Caceres is, if you're not a big nerd, but if you see him, you'll have seen him fought. He's still young, but he has fought in the UFC for a long time. Let me actually click into him. See when his debut. Oh, look how young he looks in that picture. Adorable. I'm right on this. He must. So he's been fighting on, holy shit. He's been fighting in the UFC since, holy Christ. So he was on Ultimate Fighter Season 12 in 2010. He must have been like 18. Wow. So he's been fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 30, 33 fights in the UFC. That's absurd. I didn't even think it was that much. That can't be right. Maybe some of those are canceled bouts. He's been in the UFC fighting quite regularly since 2010, 2013 with Ultimate Fighter. Depends where you kind of draw that line of what the UFC is or if Ultimate Fighter counts. But that is just amazing. He has a great, great look. He is always entertaining in the fight. He throws lots of spinning shit. He can do everything. He's tough as nails. And Sadiq Youssef is... Oh, was he ranked? No, he's 16. So he's just out of the rankings. But like, again, this is one of those fights where I think the winner of this fight moves into the top 15 at featherweight. This is going to be an awesome, awesome little scrap. Third to last fight on the card. So it's nice to see Alex Caceres getting into that spot too. That makes my heart feel good of just seeing, he's not buried on the prelims somewhere. He's up there and he's getting the respect he deserves for the resume and what he's given to fight fans over the years. Then we got the co-main, which is Marlon Moraes versus Song Yadong Song. I never know how to do it because in China they do kind of first name, last name backwards. So it says Yadong Song, but I think when they pronounce it, it's Song Yadong. I don't know. He's unreal. Either way, however you pronounce his name, doesn't matter because he's an unbelievable fighter. And he's fighting Marlon Moraes. This is, you know what? It's the number 11 and Marlon Moraes versus number 14, Song Yadong. I just have a feeling that, Marlon Moraes is kind of not past his prime. He's still an unbelievable fighter, but I just have a feeling that it's going to be old Song's day on that one. Which again, maybe if you wanted to throw a parlay of, Song Yadong, Miranda Maverick, and maybe who else, depending on odds, I don't know, maybe Alex Pereira, that'd be a nice little parlay. Oh, and then I think also then the main event, you got Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev, number 8 versus number 5 in the world at light heavyweight. And I think Ankalaev is going to be the champion in the next year. I think this is kind of his coming out party. I don't think anyone can handle his wrestling. He's 16-1. He's an absolute destroyer. Whoever they put in front of him, he just walks through them. Not to take anything away from Thiago Santos. Let me just pull up Ankalaev. Who's he just beaten? So he beat Kuntalaba, and then he beat Kuntalaba again. Then he beat Krylov. Then he beat Volkan Ozdemir, right? Like, those are all really tough guys in that division. Wow, he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. Yeah, I think Ankalaev is the real deal. And Thiago Santos he has been that guy. He fought John Jones for the title. Many people thought he beat John Jones for the title. Judges didn't take it his way, and he did that whole fight. John Jones stomped his knee and blew his knee up in the first couple rounds, and he brought it to him the whole fight and really put on a spectacle. And the only thing that makes me feel like you can never count Thiago Santos out. He could easily knock Ankalaev out. He has that power. I just felt like ever since Thiago Santos came back from that knee injury, he hasn't looked the same in his movement. And that worries me a little bit, because I think you're going to have some movement to keep away from getting Ankalaev's hands wrapped around you, and you're going to be in trouble. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. I'm super pumped for this card. I think some of the fight night cards have been a little bit, the pay-per-views are always stacked, but the fight nights we're kind of getting a little bit top heavy. A nerd like me, I enjoy every single one of them, but for people watching, I think this is one of those fight nights that if you got nothing going on Saturday, I would watch this one. I would put this in your calendar. I think it's going to be good. There's some really great storylines. There's really talented fighters, and yeah, don't sleep on this card. This is going to be sick. Maybe throw some change down on it. I'll be watching it. You watch it. We can meet again next week and we can talk all about it. But other than that, thank you guys so much for listening. This felt really great. I feel so much better getting so much of this off my chest, and just yeah, this. It's hard to explain how cathartic it is to talk about these things and to just verbalize them almost to yourself more than anything. But then to have people that, care about you and want to listen and care what you have to say, it just means the world to me. And yeah, thank you guys. And hopefully have some really great interviews coming later this week, and some big things on the horizon after that. So yeah, have a great day. Have a great week. Tell everyone that you love them and all those things. Bye. Thanks. 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 Bye. Thanks.